Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and ladies and gentlemen, I have got to make a video, and hopefully it is titled, Is the Deep Web Truly Scary? Now this is going to be a slightly longer than average video, and this might be the third time I'm covering this exact topic, but as always, things update. Now the Deep Web has been a target of, I would say, over-sensationalization ever since it first came out. Now, when I first started the Deep Web browsing series in 2015, time really does fly. This I titled The Scary Part of the Internet, so I will actually say I'm just as guilty in a lot of ways. Big reality of it was coming across supermarkets that were allowing me to buy MacBook Pros and Mac Pros for slightly less aggravating prices than what Apple would give you. Now, this isn't necessarily the scariest part of the internet, nor should it really be. But if you go to a lot of places on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, a lot of content creators and groups will often make this look like some really scary, mystifying, spooky part of the internet, when in reality, there's just as much spookiness, if not more, sitting right on the clear web. The Deep Web is a place that the only reason I make these videos, this one in particular, is coming across a comment that always gets popped up. Muda, how are you not going to jail for the Deep Web? When in reality, there's no crimes being committed. Unless you live in a part of the world where you're actually committing these sort of crimes, or if signing onto the Deep Web is a crime for you, then yeah, you're going to get sent for prison. But in Canada, there's no such crime yet available, okay? Yet. But if you go down to other websites, other channels, for instance, this is the Infographics Show, which is probably the one few good actors in this entire situation, where they'll make videos like, are the Deep Web Red Rooms real? Well, it's a good, interesting question. But they not only well animate the video, but they're outright going to tell you that the kind of stuff that you're witnessing on this entire situation is basically all just a scam, all just a joke. There's never been a recorded proof of a Deep Web Red Room, somebody actually being murdered and tortured in front of your eyes, live through the Deep Web, because simply it's not technologically possible, and I'll tell you that in a second too, in a bit when we go to the Deep Web. But in a lot of ways, if it had existed, me with my hundreds of hours of browsing would have found this crazy stuff to you. You know, when I go to like channels on TikTok that are huge for this, like official Deep Web, or hey, here's the Deep Web channel that you really wanted to check out, right? You'll find some truly weird stuff. For instance, I'll find a lot of videos like, hey, video extraído de la Deep Web. They they extracted this from the scary side of the Deep Web. Now we've seen this video before. In fact, I'm going to say we've seen all these videos before. That right there is a Shay St. John video. That wasn't extracted from a Deep Web website. That was literally extracted from Shay's own website that exists. I believe Shay is passed too, so rest in peace in all of it. I don't know what's up with the Punisher logo at the bottom. Maybe it's to add the extra fear. But as you can see, this is just the over-sensationalizing from the start. Then you go to like official pages, which is, look at these occult, Area 51 occult sections, demonic sections, right? Of course, this is Spanish, so if somebody could translate this better, that would be great. But then, you know, in all my years of the Deep Web, I've never come across this level of Ouija board footage that is that realistic. I've never come across Tom and Jerry creepypastas, and I've also never come across a Japanese demon getting Fortnite danced emoted. Like, oh my god, the amount of cringe! Like, I've never come across this. But then again, maybe it's because I haven't been browsing the Deep Web all that much, you know? And when I used to do it weekly, I still wasn't coming across wild stuff like this. So obviously, I must be missing out. Now, the reason why we have to start and really nip this in the ass is that when it comes down to really fucked up things that are happening on the internet, these situations really do arise more so on the clear web. And I guess I'll give you one to begin with. In 2017, just after the US election had concluded, and this was when Donald Trump had won, in Chicago, there was actually a hate crime streamed. 4 black individuals had actually attacked a mentally disabled white individual. That's how it was classified as a race crime. But this was streamed entirely over Facebook, making it a live streaming crime. So these people were actually dumb enough to A, harm another human being, and then fucking live stream it on a social network that backdoors itself pretty much to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Rest assured, these people were arrested, and the main perpetrator got 7 years, okay, because of this heinous crime, as they should have deserved. Now, this happened on Facebook, okay? This happened on a platform where anybody can stream, anybody can upload videos. And this is one scary aspect of this kind of stuff, right? When you look at YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, whatever media service you have out there, anybody can upload, meaning that there are some weird things uploaded. If you go on YouTube right now and type in like period into the search bar, you're going to get this whole list, right? If you just click on any single one of these, for instance, you'll be sent to a rabbit hole of epic proportions. For one, just scrolling down a little bit will find you videos that are just straight up softcore pornography, okay? Romantic neck kiss. If you look at the thumbnail like I am, there's a lot more going on than just some neck kiss, all right? There's a lot more that's about to happen. Of course, over time, YouTube is going to find these videos, remove them once they get into the moderation system. Once they get a report, YouTube will step in. Same with Twitch, Facebook, anything. Tons of stuff gets streamed. If it's really against TOS and illegal, the moderation team looks at it and it actually send it to a team higher if it's fully illegal, right? But if you scroll just a bit down like I have, you'll find 7 rainbow DIY for Christmas mood. So clearly, the search algorithm is now broken at this point. A single punctuation dot has screwed up the algorithm, but that's how you're able to find a lot of potentially illegal stuff on YouTube as well too. Other naked yoga rabbit holes, if you will. Now, this kind of content gets pulled from LiveLeak before anybody tells you it's exclusive for the deep web. Oh man, there's some deep web cartels running it. No, quite literally, if you go to LiveLeak right now and look up cartels, you'll find footage of hitman opening fire on pickup trucks. They just download this footage, they upload it to a deep web onion link, and wow, suddenly it's a deep web video. Suddenly, the cartel de Sinaloa has their own deep web. Like, it's that point of misinformation that I want to nip in the ass. When you go to like Reddit boards like Narco Footage, which is what I browse here and there, these guys are currently archiving an actual battle between the Sinaloa drug cartel and the Jalisco New Generation cartel in Mexico. They are constantly within every hour uploading video footage from cartel-like phones, cartel Snapchats, cartel accounts of actual warfare going on. You can look at gunfights. Hell, there are people who, like the aftermath of a gunfight, news reports, whatever you want to call it. These are uploaded videos constantly sent around. And it takes no effort to download these videos, post them on a deep web onion address, and bam, all of a sudden you have live updates of deep web tortures and murders. Wow, what a scary scenario. I've covered this topic twice before, 3 times if you will, if you look through my backlog, but this topic gets updated constantly, so these videos have to be re-updated constantly. One of the more important aspects of covering this is now to teach you how to properly get onto the deep web. A lot of these services and people will tell you, the deep web is scary, illegal. They'll never even tell you how to properly access it. It'll tell you to download Tor onto your main computer and bam, you're good to go. That's not necessarily wrong, but very few will tell you the proper, appropriate way of actually handling it. For me, I'm going to tell you to download 2 pieces of software. One is VeraCrypt and one is VirtualBox. You're probably pretty, if you follow my channel, you probably know about the second one a lot more. But all you really have to do is open up a, VeraCrypt. VeraCrypt, once you've installed it, it'll give you a nice little program, a little window here. You create a volume, which is like creating a hard drive on your desktop or whatever on your computer. You can mount this as it were a real USB or an actual hard drive, but you create an encrypted file container, okay? You make a standard volume. All right, you can save it wherever you want. I'll save it right on my desktop and I'll call it ASDF, which is what I type in to test the internet working. I hit next. You pick your encryption algorithm. Hey, we want to make this extra scary. Let's go 2Fish and Serpent and AES. Hit next. Give it like 35 gigs if you want to. Hell, give it 300 gigs if you want to. Then give it a password. I'm going to give it a password and bonus points to anybody in the comments section who can figure out what I'm typing here. Hit next. All right, it'll tell you that's a bad password. I don't really care. I will store files larger than 4 gigs. And we're going to hit next. We're going to mount this. Yes. All right. And then bam, you're going to move your mouse around to generate entropy. Okay, which is how this is going to create a cryptographic key, if you will. And then bam, you hit format. Then you have a file container, you mount that on VeraCrypt, and then you can install your virtual machine files to that. A virtual machine that I'm using in this case is Sonic Inflation, which is running on Manjaro. All right, I use a Linux virtual machine because why not? You can use a Windows one if that's what you're more comfortable with. In the virtual machine, you open up a web browser. You go to the Tor browser. You search that up real quickly, and the first result should be torproject.org. You go over here, you download it for Windows, Mac, or Linux, whatever your VM runs on. Bam! That's how you get on. I know that I kind of speed ran it. I wasn't trying to get an award or anything. It's that quick and it's that easy. Don't run it on your host system. Run it in a VM. Burn the VM afterwards if you have to, okay? Just what I would do, okay? Personally, it keeps everything contained. And the scariest thing with the deep web, if anything, would probably be having to deal with any sort of virus that would kick in, right? That's probably the scariest thing browsing the web anyways. You click on a shady link, it runs some weird script, you're getting screwed. Now, to remind the audience, okay, do you need a VPN? Not really, but it helps, okay? One of the things that you'll find about the deep web is, let's say you're connecting to any page. Right here at the bottom, at the top left with the address, click on this old Tor icon, and you can see that my browser connects to Germany, then to Poland, then to France, then with 3 extra relays, and finally the actual onion link. So it's kind of like that 4chan meme back in the day when somebody hacked someone's school account and they're like, I'm gonna get the FBI on you. And they said, well, no, I'm behind 7 proxies. It's that meme all over again. Tor browser by itself is a good browser because it'll actually provide you good protection against fingerprint testing. Normally in a regular browser, they can figure out a lot about your system, but when it comes to Tor, they're able to figure out that I'm running the system underneath Linux, x86 64, but they're able to tell me that it can't detect my CPU class and my memory, okay? Which if it's doing that, there's a pretty good chance that there's a lot of my information being protected, which is something you're gonna need. But sometimes even that isn't the case. For instance, in a quick and dirty recording here, you can see that even though my memory and CPU classes and even my concurrency is hidden, they're not able to hide things like, say, for example, my, let's just find my languages, my Mac Intel platform, not that big of a deal, but they're also not able to hide the audio context fingerprint, which is, is something that won't change over time that much. Then they also have access to things like screen size and all that stuff, time zone offset, so there's information given and taken depending on which browsers you use, but Tor is relatively safer. I want to show you a couple of places when you go onto the deep web, right? So obviously, one of the websites that we're using is amia.fi, okay? And I have something called Daniel's link list typed in, which is kind of a real scammy page, or at least known to be. This is one of the first places I go to. Over here, you can Google for stuff on the deep web. So usually you want to type in link list, all right? Link list will send you to a bunch of these pages and hits, which, how do you decipher them? How do you get to the right one? Well, it's really a matter of trial and error, and it's incredibly boring at this point to go through it. But I'm going to show you the hidden wiki fresh 2021. The hidden wiki actually had, I think, a key stolen, so anybody is the hidden wiki at this point. But as you go around, there are pages upon pages upon pages that you can access, search engines that explicitly cater to the deep web, places to get Bitcoin, VPN services, deep web emails. Some of them are legit, some of them are not. But then you go to the red rooms, and this is the real red room. In fact, it's so fucking real that there are 3 types of red rooms, okay, that exist. So bam, red room, and you could be a spectator. All right, so let's guide us through it here, because if you go to join, I may have to censor it because it's an actor image of someone having a chainsaw put up to them. Nothing violent so far, but I mean it inspires the Valencia, if you will, the violencia, right? Now, if you go down, you can see that they have access types like you can only watch, all right? So you can feel like a little cuckold on the internet, commander, master, and then they let you download the latest video. And to show you how much of a scam it is, if you've ever watched a deep web browsing video of mine, you've probably seen this page at least 6,755,000 times. This is the Red Room access page where you give them 0.02 BTC, all right, which allow me to explain how much BTC that actually is. Like, if you look at the actual conversion rate here, you can see that this is like $1,000, 1.1K, okay? This is $1,100, and you're like, who's falling for these kind of fucking scams? If you look around, you can see that there is actual money being sent to this account constantly, okay? Like, it has gotten its money, okay? It has received money. It has received 0.18 BTC, so they have been raking in the dineros from this, okay? $10,000, okay? $10,000 it has received. There were 10 dumbasses who were willing to give money to what is most likely an FBI honeypot. So congratulations, people, you idiots. Now, how likely is it for you to get your file sent? Well, since they're sending you a file, if you rewind this video a little bit, how likely is it that they're going to find a fresh person to murder and kill for $10,000 earned than just simply going to narco footage Reddit and downloading some violent footage out of there and sending it? Like, how likely is it, do you think, personally? There's nothing that has ever been proven in this case. The realist sounding scenario was way back in the day when they claimed to have like ISIS soldiers captured and were ready to behead and kill. And I think nothing came out of that scenario. The situation never occurred. The bitcoins were sent. The money was siphoned. The fraud was committed. So no, red rooms have never really been proven. And if we're going by these as a realistic estimate, they've never been proven. Now, of course, if there are some people out there that have the exclusive red room that nobody has ever fucking seen in their life, then please, I implore you to provide that knowledge. I implore you to tell people that that is real. I implore you to provide some level of proof that wouldn't get you convicted or get more people hurt. That would be something. I'm not asking you to send me actual illegal transactions and illegal footage. I'm just telling you, all right, I've never seen it and I've never come across a legitimate red room. You think if anybody's going to come across a red room, it's this guy right here. Never have come across it, ever. Now, I think what's scary and freaky about the deep web and what most people don't really cover into is they tell you there's a lot of negatives, and there are, okay? For instance, with a lot of these like onion directories, if you come across their recent pages, like Ajoute Recent 50, this is a French-based one. I mean, it's really all the same. You'll come across a lot of regular websites. For instance, this is a website that's covering languages, magazines, computer hardware, cryptography, and hacking and Linux and operating systems. It's pretty harmless, okay? And then you come across the best of cheese pizza, and I think you can figure out exactly what I'm talking about over here. In fact, if we go down all these censored links that I'm hovering over, this is all illegal material, okay? Like, you can get sent to federal prison if you view this stuff. If you look a bit to the right, you can see that these websites aren't even online anymore. Now, sometimes you'll come across an onion address, like for instance, this has library FY. Sometimes you'll come across a name of a girl, right? Like I've come across names of, I don't know, let's just use a fake one for the sake of privacy and everything. Sarah, right? Let's say you come across Sarah blank, 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 dot onion. There's a pretty good chance that clicking on it is going to send you to a website that's landing page consists of illegal material. And usually if you're on the deep web and you look at that link and look at its name, it's a pretty good chance that 99% of it, you should avoid clicking on it to begin with, right? That's a one example that I can give you. Illegal content does exist on the deep web, and for the longest time I have admitted to not browsing the deep web for weekly videos because sometimes all the content for that week or 2 weeks was really just cataloged to be illegal content. It's sort of the one thing, as this gains popularity and with the anonymity of it, people are going to be making web pages like this. This kind of content doesn't just exclusively exist on the deep web. You can find a lot of this content, unfortunately, on very common websites. You'll even be able to find it on Twitter, on Reddit, if left unmoderated. You'll be able to find it on Discord. You'll be able to find it on any social media network that allows random people to upload all the time, okay? So the fact that these websites exist, this is a truly negative section of the deep web, but they get taken off really quick. In fact, I'm actually going to be of understanding that there are people that work exclusively against these individuals. So law enforcement can't come in pretty quick to deal with this kind of stuff. And in some cases, it may be likely that even law enforcement is running this to entrap individuals and to actually get them to commit illegal crimes or at least come forward so that they can arrest them. Basically a fucking honeypot at this point, if that makes sense. Now, I know I went everywhere in this video to really talk about something that I'm very passionate about, but when it comes to the deep web, when it comes to this kind of content, you kind of have to be at some point, okay? You have to really talk about it, and you have to really nip all these kind of preconceptions up the ass because it constantly sparks up. And right now, the deep web, because of TikTok, because of various other forms of social media, right here even on YouTube and Facebook, it's become a hot topic of discussion once again. So clearly, you know, to really knock down these preconceptions, these misconceptions, this misinformation, we have to detail you why you don't really get arrested on the deep web. And quite honestly, it's not as scary as you think it is. I like people exploring the deep web, safely of course, and understanding the risks associated with it, which is why when you go on the deep web, number one, if you find anybody on those chat services or anybody out there, don't give away any of your real information. Don't do that. Don't be a separate persona on the deep web. Run this shit within a virtual machine, all right? It's only safer that way. Keep it completely separate from your actual main system. Remember, web pages can consist of scripts and viruses as well. Don't download weird stuff. Don't download shady things. If you have to click on a shady link, which with the deep web, it's 99% of the time, running it within a virtual machine can contain the ever-loving shit out of it for the most part, okay? Specifically, a Linux-based virtual machine. Even more so than that, okay? When it comes to the scary content out there, ladies and gentlemen, there is more scary shit that exists on the clear web, as I discussed earlier in this video, than there ever would be on the deep web. It's just more people can upload to freely accessible platforms over here and share really heinous, sometimes illegal shit around. That illegal shit sometimes makes it back to the deep web, all right, or onto the deep web. And then, bam, one person goes to a weird onion link, and now suddenly it's some scary, spooky place for people to explore. Ladies and gentlemen, as somebody that's made over 100, 200 episodes of this stuff, I will tell you very much so, I have spent 85% of my time looking at websites that made me laugh, giggle, and cringe, more than websites that almost made me question the legality of what I was doing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and ladies and gentlemen, we truly live in a society. Let me just put that one out there. Now, if you've been around the internet yesterday, you would know that Netflix has now been getting canceled. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a proponent of cancel culture, but in this case, Netflix may have went a bit too far. Now, if you don't know the big outrage right now, if you don't understand what's going on, Netflix decided to release a trailer and announce this new movie called Cuties, which is a movie about, get this, in fact, you know what, just stop. We're going to read the original Netflix logline, okay? Because I don't think I can just come across at you, okay? We're gonna get it straight from the Netflix's mouth. Now, I'm gonna censor the poster here because the poster is actually, for those of you who don't know, a bunch of 11-year-old girls. Yes, 11-year-old girl actors, apparently, at least the lead as far as I know. Dressed up in pretty much nothing. Booty shorts, everything you could call. I'm actually going to censor it. Netflix didn't do it, but I'm going to do it now. You can see that it's a TVMA production, meaning that it's for the grown-ups. It's an hour 36 minutes, and it's coming September 9th. Amy, 11, becomes fascinated with a twerking dance crew. Yes, twerking, the sensual, sexualized dance, right? Again, the age, 11, add that up. Hoping to join them, she starts to explore her femininity, defying her family's traditions. Whew, now, I don't know how you can really, really kind of justify it. It definitely comes across very creepy. In fact, it's to the point where even Netflix agreed that it was really, really weird. Which is why, get this, they changed it. They actually changed the poster originally to something that wasn't showing 11-year-olds dressed scantily clad, and they changed it to 11-year-old Amy starts to rebel against her conservative family's tradition when she becomes fascinated with a free-spirited dance crew. So yeah, you can kind of understand the weird, almost illegal romp that we're headed into. So it's great that Netflix actually just apologized to this whole thing too. Like, they admitted that it was wrong, where they said, "We're deeply sorry for the inappropriate artwork that we used. It was not okay, nor was it representative of this French film that won an award at Sundance." And then they updated the pictures and description. I like the fact that they said won an award at Sundance, like that's some scientific barometer for what is a great movie or not. But, you know, they did technically apologize on it, but regardless of that, who the hell even okayed the original poster and description in the first place? Like, the marketing team absolutely shot the movie down before it even had a chance to try and run in the first place. Like, what the actual hell? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I made a video not too long ago, where I talked about the map menace on Twitter and everything. And quite honestly, I'm one of those people that is totally against normalization of people who are obviously pedophiles. Let's be real about it. And whenever you get media like this, no doubt in my mind is it there to somewhat help normalize this bullshit nonsense. I mean, quite honestly, pedophilia should not be a normalized, thing. It really shouldn't be. Most people are against it. Now, this movie, I watched the trailer of it, 1 minute 30 seconds, which is currently sitting at about 5,000 likes to like 38,000 dislikes. I mean, it's getting a lot of fucking hate to the point where like it's hitting the Netflix Reddit boards, it's hitting every like this is a pretty disliked situation. People are unanimously getting on board and saying maybe sexualizing minors isn't okay. I mean, that's just not. So I watched the trailer of it, and quite honestly, the trailer did not help the situation much. The trailer is about this woman, this little girl, 11-year-old named Amy, who's basically growing up in this like traditional Muslim household where she is suppressed, you know, her femininity, I guess you could say. She comes across a bunch of girls who are part of this like twerking dance club, and I guess they're into the social medias. They're sharing themselves on the good old TikToks, and you know, it is definitely sexualized for sure. I mean, let's be real here. Let's do fucking basic mathematics. 11-year-old plus twerking. Yeah, that. Come on now. What the fuck, people? Jesus Christ. There's nothing to argue here. It's fucking weird. All right, let's get down with it. Now to understand, okay, this is a 2020 French movie, and there's a big misconception right now where people are assuming this is a Netflix original, like Netflix themselves produced this fucking movie. Actually, no, it's a movie that was, I think it premiered at Sundance, and we'll get into all that real quick. So this is a French coming-of-age comedy drama film, and it's written by a Senegalese French woman who basically, she's sharing some of her personal experiences, and if you can see real quickly, it actually speaks about hypersexualization of pre-adolescent girls, right? Internet culture and all that stuff. Now, this is a very important topic, and it's something that definitely can be talked about. I mean, let's not deny the fact that social media and kids are growing up way too fast, and they're growing up in situations where they're posting their entire lives on social media. So let's not pretend that this isn't some kind of an issue. However, the way that Netflix marketed it is fucking stupid. It definitely shot this purpose down. I mean, if your entire goal was hypersexualization of children, well, the way that Netflix marketed this entire movie by hypersexualizing young children is fucking wrong. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a cutesy scenario. This is not something that should be normalized. This is not something that you can. This is not okay. All right. So again, it's pretty goddamn hypocritical if you're against the hypersexualization of young girls that you partner with a company that decides to do just fucking that in its promotional materials. Netflix did not help in any case. Now, I actually went by and looked at this director's interview, and this is a French interview that was Google translated. So if there are some inaccuracies, bear with me, okay? I'm not a French native speaker. I mean, I can get by, but I mean, let's be real here, okay? I'm more of a Medada Indian, if you wanted to know that, okay? Anyways, let's get down into it. So, one of the interviewers asked, "You also tackle hypersexualization of preteens, another subject that we see very little in French cinema. I think you actually see this very little in most legal cinema. It's not something that people really get down with." And she responded, "I don't think these are disturbing subjects, but it's true that this particular age is not covered much. Wonder why? These subjects are above all very representative of what is happening in reality and are perhaps difficult to admit. Then doing a preteen cast means taking the risk and seeing them transform 3 months later, given that they're in a pretty big growth phase." Now, I'm going to chalk this up to Google Translate, but it seems like some weird fucking experimentation going on, and I don't know if I'm cool with it. But again, let's just dial back to what I said earlier, okay? It's pretty goddamn hypocritical of you to be anti-against this, which is a very novel, point to take, by doing the exact thing that you're kind of against. I mean, I get that it's a touchy subject, but the way that you're presenting it just isn't fucking okay. Can we say that this is a film that denounces? This is a deeply feminist film. It was important to me to find the perfect angle to talk about my heroine, Amy, who is torn between two role models. One on the one hand, that of her mother, who undergoes a certain form of oppression, and one that she will seek outside. Though this group of girlfriends, which is for her a form of liberation, questions the place of women in society and the tools we give to our young girls to build themselves. With this film, I question the notion of choice when you are a woman. So she's obviously talking about, I believe the actual film is probably fucking way more nuanced than the actual advertising let it go off as. But let me just tell you right now, first impressions are everything, and Netflix fucking shot your ass in the dark. Now, I get that this is a coming-of-age story, and the actual movie may be way more fucking nuanced, because the reviews for this movie have apparently been fucking stellar, and people are saying that it's a very, like, I guess, artistic and, like, nuanced look at the situation. But again, may I remind you, the Netflix marketing really fucking threw you down. I mean, if you go to their official trailer real quick and you just go down, you can actually see they fucking kept the original fuck up that they backpedaled on. So if you look in the description, and you know, just real quickly, I'll show you right now, refresh this entire page and we'll go all the way down. All right, show more. Amy, 11 years old, tries to escape family dysfunction by joining a free-spirited dance clique named Cuties as they build their self-confidence through dance. And then you look at Amy, 11, becomes fascinated with a twerking dance crew, hoping to join them. She starts to... Bro, they literally kept the original fuck-up in there. Netflix does not care about this. I mean, Jesus Christ. You know, you might say that people are getting way too outraged and that the pitchforks are already out. But again, if your movie is more nuanced by this, the first impression that you first laid out onto people is the worst one you can possibly put. Even if this movie is nuanced, people who will actually watch this to give it its fair shake, so to speak, are gonna walk into this with these preconceptions. Okay, they're gonna walk into this expecting the goddamn worst, all right? So even if you try to convince people of a nuanced take, congratulations, you fucked up with what you started. And I want to assume that this may have been intentional to an extent, because what better marketing than that of controversy? It's a very fine line that you work on, and maybe someone at Netflix thought that this was the case. Understand this, even if Netflix didn't make this movie, there was somebody at fucking marketing for Netflix, a group of people who probably looked at this, and I guarantee you, when that like twerking dance crew line was written, there was somebody that, you know, had a little scratch on the back of their neck that said, maybe this is a bad idea. Someone greenlit this, and that person, from a fucking PR perspective, from a marketing perspective, should not have a job at Netflix. And that's not outrage speaking, that's common fucking sense. The other thing that this movie kind of gets me a little bit on is, even if it's a nuanced take, they're trying to paint it as if being traditional and like having these religious values is somewhat the bad thing to have. All right, at least from how this trailer is portrayed, because obviously the mom that is supposed to be a role model actually slaps her daughter and like fucking chastises her for being a part of this. When, let me tell you, it's not about being a conservative. It's not about having a traditional value system. It's not even about being Muslim in this case, all right? Literally every culture you go to, every place you go to, every parent you talk to, because I have a lot of friends and family that are now parents. They have young children, and I talk to them about this. It doesn't matter what culture, what race, what religion, what background you come from. No one gets down with watching 11-year-olds fucking sexualized in this manner. It's not fucking okay, all right? And the fact that there are people that defend this by giving me bullshit like, let's just go over the defense squad real quick, because that's one you have to talk about real fast too. There's this one response where it's like, where's the same outrage with toddlers and tiaras or dance moms? It's literally the same, but y'all call for boycotting when it's a film starring a black girl as the lead role and was created by a French African woman. Okay, first of all right, this whole bullshit notion that, hey, this is a female director, you know, person of color, all that nonsense. You're using these fucking whataboutisms, all right? Nobody is even okay with toddlers and tiaras or dance moms. People find that shit fucking creepy. If you watch child beauty pageants, you're probably fucking doing something illegal with your free time. Let me tell you. Yes, I know that's a big stretch to make, but is it really? I mean, if people are outraged by this, do not expect that people aren't outraged by these toddlers and tiaras. I still find that shit fucking creepy. Most people I talk to find that creepy. And if I find somebody who genuinely watches that, I'm probably going to question what kind of a fucking person they are and why they're watching that in the first place when they have so many things to do. And I'm also going to question the parents who let their children fucking get into that world anyways. Or better yet, the ones who force their kids into that nonsense anyways. Yes, nobody likes that. This whataboutism doesn't actually fucking work in your favor. Nobody's okay with that, and nobody's okay with this either. The other notion that I hear too, where people are like, oh, this is a French movie, it's normal over there. No, not really. Because even on the French side of the internet, even on French Twitter, French Reddit, fuck, I've been to France. I know what French people are like too from my experiences. And guess what? They're not even fucking okay with this shit either. Nobody is, all right? So again, it doesn't, the arguments don't make any sense. They hold no validity. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is fucking art or something like that, right? Where somebody's like, you don't have to like something or even think it's effective to be art. Bad art is still art. Listen. I'm not going to get into the is this artistic debate. I'm just going to tell you right now, sexualizing minors is just not fucking okay. It's just not what you want to do. This is not the hill you want to fucking die on, okay? And you know what? Even if this movie, again, like I said earlier, is more nuanced, the marketing clearly doesn't fucking help that favor at all. The trailers are usually supposed to hook you. Trailers are kind of like a mishmash of the best pieces of the movie to hook you in. That trailer that they cut together did not hook me in. It fucking weirded me out, okay? And that's not a good impression a movie can leave on you. Now, here's another one where, like, people fell for this massive fucking troll bait. So on IMDb, people who, again, haven't really watched this movie are throwing in, like, really revolting, disgusting. And this person over here who, like, fucking outraged, I've been seeing this comment float around where some dude's like, amazing actress, also sexy. I hope they make, man, it feels fucking disgusting saying that. I hope they make more, but don't wait too long. Don't want them to be too old for the roles. I want to chalk that up to a fucking, oh god. Oh fuck, that actually is disgusting, dude. I feel like my body is rejecting my soul as I say that. But you know what? That's obviously a troll, I'm pretty sure, and people are getting baited by it. On the off chance that isn't a troll, I've already, you know, sent the FBI whatever cyber tip they fucking needed, so, you know, it is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to talk about this because it's fucking weird, and I don't think it's okay. You know, I'm not one of those, like, prudish type of individuals. I can kind of see the value in most things, but there's a line that I have, and the line is when you start sexualizing a fucking minor in what is obviously something that they probably shouldn't be. I mean, the fact that the girls that are portraying their roles in here actually match the 11-year-old, which is way too fucking young, by the way, let me just put it out there. The fact that they match it, the fact that they're dressed up this way for the movie creeps me out too. All right, it just shouldn't happen this way. And I get they're trying to make some weird provocative piece, and they're gonna make you think when you watch this movie, but the way that it's shot, man, I mean, the way that it was marketed also scares the shit out of me. They had to have known what they were doing. You're calling this thing Cuties. The original poster where they're all dressed in pretty much nothing. And then you're going to give me a line where they join a twerking crew. Like, there's nobody that can tell me twerking is this, like, crazy dance style. Bro, the last time I've ever seen twerking is at strip clubs, okay? And if that shit isn't sexual, I don't know what is, dog. But anyways, though, ladies and gentlemen, I'm probably going to cancel my Netflix subscription, not because I'm, like, super duper outraged, but because Netflix has not produced anything good in the last 60 days, so I've literally been paying them for no reason. So yeah, after this video is done, I'm going to go to my account, I'm going to cancel that subscription, and shit, if they make another season of The Ozarks or Narcos Mexico, then maybe I'll sign back on. But as for now, fuck Netflix, back out of it. I don't know what they were thinking, I don't know what they were smoking, but whatever it is, I definitely don't want some. But ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and it seems like firearms are becoming more popular on YouTube as you could imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about Andrew Tate Jr., Andrew Tate Light, as you all may have heard, Shiniko. Now, of course, plenty of other channels in the commentary space have talked about Shiniko, and two of my favorite channels in particular, Turkey Tom and Willie Mac Show, have made their own videos that are absolute bangers that you should go watch. If you wanted to kill your brain cells for over an hour, those are some videos. But I wanted to look into it because I kind of want this to be sort of the end for a personal journey. For over a year, I've been looking into the red pill, manosphere world, you know, the incel space, and I've kind of been trying to understand and really figure out every aspect of it. I've really been researching this pretty hardcore. And honestly, ever since Andrew Tate, Sneeko has sort of been the final dying breed of this, or sort of the last holdout, and honestly, after this video, I kind of want my own personal journey to come to an end. Now, are we talking about Sneeko? Well, in the last few days, if you follow Sneeko, you probably know that he picked a fight with a good friend of our channel, Moist Critical, Charlie. Now, of course, to get you a quick historical background on this, he was obviously picking on Charlie for his relationship, and generally Sneeko was basically trying to bait out a larger channel and use the engagement to fuel his own crappy courses. And that's pretty much where the story kind of leads to. Now, of course, Charlie comes in it pretty much throwing a goddamn wrench into Sneeko's plan and killing the man's career in one fell swoop. Now, forever, if you look up the word cuck, I feel like they should always have Sneeko's face next to it, given the fact that he's pretty much become the most attributed meme to the derogatory word in the last 24 hours, 48 hours. You know, literally, I've not stopped seeing the meme, every hotel got that Sneeko chair. I wanted to go over a few things. Obviously, in Charlie's response, one of the most meme-tacular moments was when, after Charlie made his first video like 3 months ago, Sneeko, basically in his stream, whipped out a loaded firearm and started waving it around like an absolute pussy. Now, of course, if you look to the right, you'll see all of Sneeko's detractors. As he claims, this is what Sneeko likes to say, pattern recognition. These are all the bots in today's society. So it's funny how Sneeko brought up like Hassan Nabi and like, you know, Critical. When I know Hassan at least could rip Sneeko's ass apart, given the fact that he's probably got 3 times the weight on him in muscle. And of course, you've got Tom, you've got a bunch of other channels, friends of the show, so to speak. And of course, he basically says that he's the one true alpha red pill Chad. So of course in this video he brings out a firearm, starts loading it around. I'm going to assume this is a loaded firearm, as everybody in the firearm safety world should absolutely think. So he's moving around like a little baby. Now of course in this, ladies and gentlemen, he does one more thing where he showcases the magazine of the gun.
Watch my clips, watch my clips, watch my clips.
Oh! Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we like to call the rookie I'm a Call of Duty gamer mistake. Those are not clips, those are magazines. Obviously, some pistols load clips. Those pistols are incredibly old and are considered antiques. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I sometimes have had a firearm item appear on my channel. But of course, one thing is, these are not real firearms. I've seen people mention this constantly, and to be honest, I kind of want to demystify anytime you've seen a gun on my channel. This, ladies and gentlemen, is in fact a CO2 airsoft gun. You can tell because the magazine in it loads actual BB guns. I would never have a loaded firearm outside of a safe just so I can parade it around in front of a camera because somebody on the internet hurt my feelings. Thank God Sneeko lives in the United States of America, where a firearm is more considered a right than a privilege, and they'll let him keep it given the fact that he's shown some of the worst trigger discipline and some of the worst gun safety imaginable. Sneeko would probably believe even a rifle, this is airsoft by the way too, would absolutely have in fact a clip. These are magazines for sure, and Charlie definitely schooled him on firearms. I will go a step further and say if somebody on the internet makes you so mad that you whip out a loaded gun and start parading it around, I'm gonna assume a loaded firearm, you are mentally unwell and you need to get fucking checked. And honestly, I'll go a step further and say your gun should probably be taken away because you've clearly proven that you are in fact such a beta male that somebody on the internet made you so mad that you whipped out an actual loaded firearm. Now, the thing about Sneeko is Sneeko's been around the internet for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, some of his earliest videos was literally commentary videos over Black Ops 2. He's been around the game for that long. And of course, this is back when he was talking about just video games and politics and so on and so forth. And I think at this point, you could kind of tell that these were just standard generic videos. And some of them did have a moment where Sneeko, in his younger age, was definitely more critical and definitely applied some proper rationale into some of his points. Of course, lately in the last 2 years, Sneeko has become such a red pill clone bot that all of his thinking pretty much relies on that level. One of the things you might have heard of is the cuckolding allegations for Sneeko. Now, Sneeko, being an alpha man, is somebody that loves to be critical of other people's relationships, when knowing full well he was in a bad relationship, maybe still currently is in a bad relationship, especially when he's had a cuckold-like experience where he was sharing his girlfriend. Now, I'm not one to criticize somebody's relationship. I think that's pretty cringe. I have a pretty standard view of relationship, one person for one person, and generally, I'm not sharing my partner and vice vice versa, okay? I have a pretty traditional view on things. I'm a very big trad, so I tend to live my life that way. I'm never gonna judge somebody for being in an open relationship. I might think it's just friends with benefits, maybe some extra steps attached to it, but to each their own. The reason why we can make fun of Sneeko doing this is he so obviously is insecure about his relationship, and he projects that onto other people. Listen to this clip.
Equality. That's balance. And so if it's gonna happen, I might as well see it, supervise it, make sure everything's okay.
Wait, what? No, you didn't have to jump to that conclusion.
Well, it's worse. Right now. It's worse if it happens behind my back. Like I don't want it.
It's not. But y'all both knowing that it's happening.
So it's never behind your back anymore. You just gotta know.
I gotta see it.
It don't need to be literally in front of you.
It was literally like this far away from me.
Can you?
Have a
What?
image of your girl getting fucked by
Twice, yeah.
Hold on.
Twice.
Wait, how close
times.
was it?
We're on the same bed. I was with his girl. He was with my girl.
You
like
was
right here.
on the bed?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
So what do they call that? Like after the swim club, you get like a
They call that
sweating
odd.
award?
That's what they call it. You're odd. You sat on the bed while she got.
I was there too. I mean, we was both. I got up.
Were you his girl?
I was not her. Nah.
So you just sat there Indian style with your feet
Y'all
crossed.
both just sat there.
Well, she was on top of me. She was like, she was on, and I was just like not with it. And I saw her, and she was like, and I was like, that. And I just left the room, and then she left too. Like, luckily, I thought she was gonna stay
killer,
there.
dog. Why you leave the room?
But I couldn't. Like, it was. I was literally having PTSD watching that. I was like having war flash. Like I just started. Could not do it.
So did they?
What the fuck? Bro, there's a legit, like, no joke, there's probably like somebody who served like 10 years in like Afghanistan. Actually somebody that has full war flashbacks every day. You know, people from Nam or whatever, and this guy's comparing his like little cuckold experience to have, it must have been that bad, huh, that you're having like shell shock watching it. Now, of course, the reason why people criticize this relationship is obviously if you're going to joke about other people's relationships, people have full reign to joke about you. It's the internet. You're not getting canceled, Sneeko. You're just getting laughed at, okay? That's pretty much what it comes down to. If you can dish out some punches, you can definitely take them. So, of course, people criticize this because as an alpha male red pill individual, you shouldn't be somebody that is a cuckold, which is like on the exact polar opposite of this red pill experience. And of course, Sneeko being so, obviously hurt about this situation, people are obviously going to laugh at it, not just because of, you criticizing other people's relationships while not being in a healthy one of your own, but also doing the exact opposite of what a red pill male would do, okay? Simply putting it out there. You can't just bill yourself as this red pill, follower of Islam, traditional, like, men, you're full man, all right, and then live a life like this. People are definitely going to call you out on your hypocrisy. Now, speaking of hypocrisy, Sneeko has a great way of dealing with it every single day of his life. When even lately, Charlie, who basically plays the banter up, Sneeko decides to go, little bro, duck the fight, and did debate lol. What debate? Well, of course, you can see Charlie responded and said, hey man, can you please calm down with these meltdowns for like another week? I'm doing another merch drop and would love to continue to use you for those. Obviously, he's making fun of him. Anybody living could probably assume that was just a joke. Of course, Sneeko decides to go say, commentary channels fence it so they never get canceled and rely on drama for AdSense dollars. As you, buddy, are relying on drama for your, Rumble dollars at this point, or pennies. I don't know how the whole ad rates work there either. Now, of course, what's funny about this is under every single post, he always tweets out the Creativity Kit 2.0. And one way that you can identify a bullshitter is when they start selling you these BS lifestyles. So, of course, if you refresh real quick, you can see that Sneeko's sitting in what here? A Dodge. I can tell by the actual, I can actually tell by the steering wheel. And then it zooms out to a Rolls Royce, I guess trying to, like, signify to his audience, who is pretty much like embryos at this point, that maybe you can stop Netflixing and start monetizing. Fun fact, one of my favorite Sneeko videos is him trying to do donuts in a Charger and failing at it. All right, Liko, I'm going to show you how to actually do donuts in a modern muscle car. First off, you want to actually make sure you have one of these. Let's stop with the automatics, okay? Come on now. Be a man. drive with the standard. Second of all right, and usually in a vehicle, you're going to have traction controls. You want to make sure those are off so you don't keep doing stupid lefts, all right? That's what we're going to start off with. The rest, I'm sure you can figure out. Of course, if you scroll down over here, one thing that's funny to me is, of course, Sneako is selling a course where Sneako's secret strategies, how Sneako used to become a garnered the info that he knows to become a YouTuber and garner over 2 million subs and 1 billion views on the platform. Regardless of where you create, this blueprint will show you the fastest and best way to succeed. And of course, he teaches you how to become viral, and then of course learn with millionaire professors over Discord, I imagine, weekly coaching, a private community. And what kind of skills is Sneako teaching? He's teaching you how to get TikTok virality, web design, organic e-commerce. Woo! Once you get the e-commerce and sales and branding and the crypto and investments, stay far, far away. This course costs $50 a month, and all the information, I could guarantee my left nut just exists on the internet for you to go to. Now, of course, if you want to join a private Hugbox Discord community, be my guest. I assume some of the skills that Sneako is probably teaching is how to banter back to his critics over Discord. One good example is this right here. When Destiny called him out with when I'm in a cucked competition and my opponent is Sneako, he immediately goes into the Discord and says, quick, I need a response. Go to memes, everyone. Oh, that is just sad as fuck. God damn. And of course, what's funny about it too is he even continues even further with another group of YouTubers known as Abba and Preach, friends of the channel, love those guys. Send me clips in the memes of all the shit they've said, like his fat whale wife and Abba milking himself and getting his ass ate. Even on Rumble, we'll beat the soy mentality. You know, it's really funny how on Friday nights, a lot of the guys that Sneako criticizes, you know, on a Friday night, me and my wife were out on the town. On a Friday night, Sneako is out there looking for clips of Abba milking himself and getting his ass eaten, or at least talking about it. Sounds pretty beta to me, brother. I'm just saying, it sounds like alpha shit. God damn. Now, while Sneako likes to take it to the streets and whip his little Glock around thinking that he's hard, anytime YouTubers actually want to challenge Sneako to a fight, for instance, like Brandon Buckingham, who fits his weight class exactly, actually matches his viewership and popularity, would absolutely, you know, I would bet money on Brandon winning, could challenge him to a fight. Sneako decides to back out and make jokes at home. But one thing that's interesting is Sneako, without any form of critical thought, is also somebody that spreads around false allegations. Sneako showcases a message sent to him by Brandon Buckingham. So obviously, to clarify, Sneako has not signed to box. He has refused to fight because I'm on his dick. What a pitiful excuse. Your main channel is literally dying, and you desperately cling to this alpha male red pill persona that is completely fabricated. I used to rock with and support this dude, but on God, it's fuck him from now on. I'll be in NYC in July, Nico. Come watch me lick shots on your busted girl. Whole gang is gonna run the train on her like she asked us to last time I was in town. I know you love controversy and beef. How do you like this pressure? Now, of course, anybody could read that and just say, bro, the boys and I are going to come gangbang your girl. Obviously, when he's saying shit like she asked us to last time I was in town, his joke implies explicit consent at this point. Now, of course, Sneako decides to be so butthurt about this, he actually spreads really harmful false allegations. Listen closely.
Yo, you know who's an L-Mans? Brandon Buckingham.
Oh, yeah.
That guy sucks. Bro, literally said, I'm gonna R-word your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Literally said that. This dude said he is going to R-word my girlfriend. Bro, nothing warrants saying I'm gonna R-word your girlfriend. That's some school shooter vibes, bro. Yeah, that's some school shooter vibes.
Okay, first off, the R word that Sneako is referring to is rape. Okay, I'm just going to say it outright. I hate it when these like YouTubers act like they're against the matrix and against the grain and, ooh, I'm not scared of the demonetization when they really are. Just say the word rape, okay? You don't have to R-word it. All right, I hate it when people play like, you know, hooked on phonics with this kind of stuff. Just say it where it is, Sneako, okay? Rape, that's what you were saying, right? That's the implicit explanation. That's the allegation you were putting onto another person. Willy-nilly. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really care if my video gets demonetized. I live outside the Matrix, unlike some of these losers, so I don't really care. My main operations of business is outside of YouTube. If I get a video demonetized, which a lot of these videos really do because of their, you know, clipped nature of them, Yeah, I don't really care. Now, unfortunately, it seems like for Sneeko, when he was on YouTube, absolutely confided with the system up until his banning, when he absolutely stopped giving a crap about filtering his content and actually platformed some really dangerous conspiracy theories and ideas that were so explicitly against TOS that he got banned. I just want to let you know, it's not hard to not get banned on the internet, okay? Destiny, for instance, invites some of the wildest characters on his streams, and sometimes when he will get a strike, it's probably for a video that he let run unfiltered. Generally, you can get away with saying edgier stuff or talking about edgier things on the internet, but when you just platform really, really criminal ideas and really, really heavy misinformation, no shit the private platform is gonna slap you on the wrist, dumbass. But of course, I just wanted to make that point here. Going back to it, just whittling back a few minutes, obviously Sneeko is kind of an idiot making false rape allegations, and we're just going to leave it at that, okay? Just another example of how the man keeps catching L's. Now, when we're talking about bot behavior, ladies and gentlemen, I think nothing screams bot to me than Sneeko failing to actually research points. Now, in this clip with Destiny, Sneeko is actually talking about the ideas of wearing seatbelts and how sometimes wearing a seatbelt can actually be more dangerous than not wearing one. Again, this is heavy misinformation. If you're driving a car, always wear your seatbelt. But we'll get into exactly what the logic is on Sneeko's end. Let's watch this clip.
You can get into a collision, and if you have a seatbelt on, then you can get trapped in the car and the car can catch on fire. But sometimes if you're not wearing a seatbelt, there's instances where people have literally flown out the windshield because they weren't wearing a seatbelt and they survived. But a seatbelt could trap you in there.
What do you think is more common?
I mean, I don't know what's more common, but it's uncomfortable and it's just...
Do you lock your car? Do you lock your car at night?
I think I'll be fine.
I'm not asking if you're fine. I'm asking you to use your brain. Do you lock your car at night?
Yeah.
Why? You're not guaranteed to get robbed. In fact, probably most likely you won't.
Yeah, but it takes 1 second. It doesn't make me uncomfortable to lock my car. Wearing a seatbelt makes me uncomfortable.
What a pussy! Oh, the seatbelt makes me uncomfortable. This is the alpha man that people were hyping up. The seatbelt scares you. Oh, the seatbelt bothers you a little bit. It makes you drive a little uncomfortable. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to wearing seatbelts, I'm not, I wouldn't consider myself the manliest man in the world, but wearing a seatbelt's never made me feel weird. Now, of course, what Sneeko is talking about is a very rare exception of sometimes when God doesn't want you to die, you'll fly out your window, you might get injured a little bit, but maybe you'll survive. He's talking about some real survivorship bias levels of thinking. These are very, very, very anecdotal situations where you could survive, but generally, what's more common is in a head-on collision, if you're not wearing your seatbelt, chances are you die a lot quicker. You have a higher chance of dying. Now, how do I know this? Well, I'm going to do what Sneeko refuses to do. I'm going to look up the actual information from the National Highway Transport Safety Administration, okay? A government research branch that has actually done the reading on this. Now, of course, estimating the potential fatalities. So, of course, they even got formulas for this. So if we whip out the old TI-83 real quick, they actually have, hard, full statistics for what happens to you when it comes to wearing your seatbelt, right? Now, of course, just to make it a little bit easier, there's places that have parsed this information that is much more readable for bots. So I'm going to show this real quick, okay? An estimated 14,955 lives were saved in 2017 by wearing a seatbelt. Vehicle occupants are 30 times more likely to be ejected during a car accident if not wearing a seatbelt. This statistic becomes more alarming when you realize that most ejection accidents are fatal. In fact, about 3/4 of people ejected in a crash die. Now, again, Sneeko's referring to the 25% of people that don't die. He's also not referring to the very small percentage of people that don't probably end up paralyzed from the waist down after they've been in that impact. Again, this is somebody that's looking at this statistic right here, seatbelt usage by state. So for instance, he's looking at it, right? Like in California, 96% of people use their seatbelts. In fact, nationwide, 90% as of 2017 were wearing the seatbelt. See, Sneeko looks at this and thinks, this is probably just blue-haired SJW woke fests that are wearing their seatbelt. I'm going to be part of the 10% red pill canceled people that are going against the grain. See, Sneeko's brain level and his thinking pretty much relies on this aspect, okay? As long as you got that blue hair, you're part of the big majority majority, the bots, if you will, the SJWs, the crazy feminists, and whatever you say, he has to be the exact counterculture of, because as we saw earlier in his community, they will not accept any aspect of him deciding to critically think for himself. He has to be completely insane, conspiracy-brained, all the way to the very end of the limits. He can't find a way out of it. Now, the only level of actual critical thinking that he might have done is probably when he defended Cuties. Now, of course, if you want some context, Cuties is a weird movie released by Netflix, or not released, but, well, actually released, but they never had anything to film it. It was an independent movie that they bought the rights to distribute. And the movie was effectively about little girls, right? The movie actually sexualized little girls for the big screen. You could watch it right now. And they spread it out to the mainstream masses. Now, obviously, the movie, if you watched it, again, for full context sake, was actually against this idea. In fact, even in the movie, anytime the girls participated in TikTok and danced around, and then they participated in like the climax in the movie, throughout the movie, there was always juxtaposing situations where she was getting punished, or there was like clashes of hyper-conservative society kind of, you know, cutting this thing. And she was, the girl, the main character, was launched in the middle of it. Now, of course, the general response is, no matter what the movie's intention and message were, they still sexualize little children on camera for everyone to watch in a movie. So again, whatever point the movie was trying to make is null and void because they violated their own rules in doing so. Again, let's watch Sneako's defense over here. This is a much younger Sneako. Let's listen to this.
Okay, if I ever wanted to get canceled, this is the video. I saw Cuties last night and it was pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. I went in ready to hate like everybody else. I saw the cover and I got clickbaited. So did you. You got clickbaited. This is one of the movies that's gonna age well. Like right now, the
Oh, God, that actually hurts to hear. It's gonna age well, Jesus Christ.
outrage is really strong, so saying something like this video probably already has half dislikes. And I even tweeted like, Cuties is clickbait. This was a pretty good movie. And everybody replying like, I'm unfollowing you. This is the limit, Sneako. This is the limit. I can guarantee.
Now, of course, you've only seen like this portion of the clip. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to paraphrase it. Sneako said basically what I just said a minute ago about the movie. It has juxtapositions. And obviously the message of the filmmaker was that this sexualization of children is bad on social media, so on and so forth. Again, it all gets completely dissolved and thrown out in the water when just a little bit of extra critical thinking will let you know that the movie, in fact, still sexualized children. So again, the whole idea of defending this movie, you can't do because the movie broke its own rules. It literally produced what I would consider to be soft-core material for just the weirdest types of people to consume off of a mainstream platform. It's an objectively terrible way to handle this message, and it could have been done in a much, much safer fashion. But again, this is a prime example of what Sneako is all about. He's a provocateur. He's the clown. He's the guy that pisses his pants in public and says he was only pretending to be brain dead. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is somebody that knows how to basically make a viral clip. If it's one thing that you can't blame Sneako for is he knows the algorithm, he knows how to get people talking about him. What Sneako doesn't realize is not all attention is ultimately good attention. See, in his mind, he thinks that the more people that talk about him, whether it be negative or positive, it'll all get flown into his Creativity Kit 2.0. And while yes, some of that's true, it's not a sustainable business model. Sneako currently has lost his million-plus YouTube channel and currently resides to about 200,000 followers on Rumble. He doesn't get bad viewership. A month ago, he made a video where he got like 16K views. All right, definitely a big drop off from what he used to have. But if we're looking through his channel nowadays, he is getting around 59,000 views, 65,000, 135,000 for some videos. So it's not crazy viewership, but I'm sure it's enough for him to survive off. Again, he has to really hope this number stays and rises, otherwise his career and his future might just taper off into complete irrelevancy. I think what's more sadder in this situation, and even sadder than Sneako basically looking at an IQ test, looking at 95 and taking it to heart, given the fact that IQ tests really don't mean a whole heck of a lot in my opinion. But what's really sad about this situation, and one of the things that kind of made me feel really bad for him, was how this entire rabbit hole has kind of reflected on him. Forget losing your channels and whatnot, and I'm sure that he'll like to say the canceled life is great because right now he's in Dubai, he's on like some yachts or whatever. I don't know how sustainable that is once Andrew Tate falls into further irrelevancy, and so will Sneako, because if it's one thing Sneako doesn't have, it's the charisma of the Tates. See, Andrew Tate knows how to like play people. He knows the charisma well. Sneeko is not funny, he's not charismatic, and honestly, aside from the fact that he's like Andrew Tate light, nobody's gonna take this man entirely seriously. But one of the things that hurts me is how his own family doesn't even want to be around him.
It's like a China buffet near me and they were closed, so I was pissed off, so.
That's what Jews usually eat on Christmas, is some Chinese place. Do you know that this is the first year I'm not going home for Christmas? They don't, I have blue hair, woke family, kind of like you, and they don't fuck with my politics at all.
I mean, it doesn't take a blue hair people to not want to fuck with your politics. Like the Yay
It's never
stuff.
got to the point. It's never got to the point where I've been like uninvited for Christmas.
Now, of course, you know it's gotten too far when even your family members don't want to have you over for a holiday because you can't stop talking about how evil the blue hair feminazis are. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, how long does it take for you to actually log off the internet and look at the world around you and think, maybe I'm the goddamn idiot? But of course, then again, Sneeko is so embroiled in this rabbit hole that he's in, and it's why I was researching the whole manosphere, right? Like, once you get into these rabbit holes, it's incredibly difficult to get out, because in Sneeko's mind, he genuinely believes the shit that he says. He genuinely believes that everyone is a bot, and the slightest criticism of him is just the Matrix attacking him and canceling him. And once you started thinking like that, getting out of that line of logic is incredibly difficult. And the only reason Sneeko stands out to me is compared to the other people that fall down this rabbit hole, he genuinely has the ability to critically think. You know, people like Aiden Ross are complete buffoons. People like Sneeko might be buffoons, but they clearly have the ability, or at least they showed the ability, to rationally think about situations, at least early on in their lives. And that's why it's painful looking at it now. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, one thing to also say is Sneeko is successful because no matter how you want to cut it, the more I've researched this, people like Sneeko and the Tates and so on and so forth are the only people that are trying to speak to a very to a group of young guys, maybe gals as well too, that are falling into like this MG Tao incel pipeline. And for a lot of them, they really don't have leaderships. You know, there's really no father figure in this situation. And I guess for me, it's easy to look at it from the outside looking in because I do have a great relationship with my dad and I was raised right. But generally for these people, there's nobody on like the general sense talking to these people. Maybe like Destiny, maybe Abba and Preach, maybe a few creators. But generally, those guys are only catered to by these individuals out there. Look, I'm going to say it like it is, okay? Before I end this whole video, I just want to give my thoughts out. As somebody, I'm not considering myself the most manliest man in the world, but I'll give you an example. I've been working since I was 16, okay? I've never taken a day off since then. I've always been in a job, and you know, my first few years, all I was doing was working. I was a wagey, I made my money, and I lived very, very frugally. Meaning I had nothing, I had money, but I had no asset, no nothing, no fun. I saved up my money and I was able to start my first little business with friends. And then from there, I was learning how to snowball my money. And it wasn't until my late 20s, I'm 28 now. I spent most of my 20s trying to build myself up and make myself financially, strong, financially stable. The point I'm trying to make here is there is a lot of giving up of your personal life you have to do. Being somebody that's successful like these individuals isn't taking a get-rich-quick route and profiteering off of e-commerce solutions and stupid stocks and crypto investments. It is working your ass off. It's making legitimate sacrifices to make a better version of yourself that you can then sell to the people around you. Now, of course, these people like to talk about getting the girls, getting the yachts, getting everything. But generally, you gotta work hard. For Sneeko, the only actual interaction that I've ever had with him and an actual talk was with Destiny, Abba, and Preach. And it was about like the idea of colleges and if colleges are stupid and making TikTok videos is better. And the idea is generally the best advice I can give you in that situation is figure it out for yourself. Look at the safest possible route. Going to a trade school, going to a university. Maybe YouTube will work, but you gotta kind of do it in the beginning and take it off. You can't bank on doing social media stuff and making a crap ton of money there. Even if Sneeko will tell you there's a lot of money to be made, only a very small percentage of people actually succeed on these platforms. And of course, when it comes to women and it comes to relationships, the whole idea I can say is nobody entitles you to any relationship. At the end of the day, you have to work on yourself as a person and you can't expect everything. There's going to be points in your life where you'll absolutely succeed and points where you absolutely might fail. And as a man, you're going to have to learn to accept that, and you're going to have to accept that a lot of it comes from your shortcomings. I think a lot of the problems that I get out of this manosphere red pill world is a lot of people blame the Matrix, so to speak, or women, or the people around them. When in reality, as my father taught me, most of your problems stem from yourself, okay? If nobody wants to date you, if nobody wants to give you a job, if you can't find a job, chances are it's probably not the world, it's not the women, it's not the systemic issue. It might ultimately come down to you as a person. In fact, 99% of the time, that might just be the case. So all I can really do is, before I end this, is say, if you're somebody that's young and you're falling into these traps where you're looking into these guys and their toxic ways for a way out, then ultimately you have to really, really sit yourself down in front of the mirror, okay? Actually ask yourself, am I the best version of who I can be? And if you're not, all right, if you are not, it's time to work on yourself. Look, if Sneeko tells you, go to the gym, get fit, he's telling you the right things. If Sneeko tells you, give up college, give up school, go to YouTube, definitely reconsider a lot of those situations. But again, I'm kind of rambling on over here. This marks the end of my Sneeko video. This marks the end of my entire descent into looking into this manosphere bullshit. For me, I'm going to back out. I'm going to go cover creepy content. I have a 4chan video coming out probably tomorrow, the day after, or something. But I've spent a year looking into this kind of stuff. And honestly, the only thing I'll ever make regarding this kind of content might be when Andrew Tate goes to prison or goes away scot-free on charges. It's the only thing that I worry about from this entire community. Other than that, there's not much I can say. This whole thing comes to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and if any of you call me Indian Toby Maguire again, we gonna have a bad time. Now that being said, welcome back to Daddy's little strip club here on the internet. We're gonna sit back and take a look at something a little bit serious. Now ladies and gentlemen, I think one of the strongest things that I've ever done on this channel is look at the darker side of the internet. You know, something that excites me the most is reading things like 4chan threads or reading the weird satanic conspiracy side of the web. But sometimes we get to a situation where it's absolutely darker than I would have ever expected. Today's video is all about the Omegle cat killer. If you don't know who this person is, well, sit back, relax, we're going down a fucking rabbit hole. Now, it started off with this post here. Hey Muda, I saw this comment on one of your recent videos, and I'm hoping that you see this to shed light on it. I don't know what can be done about this, but it is despicable. There is a woman going on Omegle showing skinned cats and their bloody skulls. People are calling her Crazy Cat Lady. Multiple groups online are trying to track her IP down, but her IP changes very frequently. Yeah, we'll get on that in a bit. The Crazy Cat Lady appears to get on Omegle from 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. and uses the tag furry. Ooh. I'll be attaching a link to the Reddit post. Doesn't show anything graphical of the person who encountered them before. In the comments of said post, there is a link to another post from. There is a comment to said post. There is a link to another post from the same person that shows an actual image from said Omegle call. I hope this isn't real, but the image says otherwise. Now, this actually led me to a Reddit post called The Crazy Omegle Cat Lady. Now, you can see if you just type in Crazy Omegle Cat Lady on the good old Google, you'll find out that there's just a whole lot of pages related to it. The Crazy Lady on Omegle, Don't Fuck with Cats Reddit. Apparently Shrimp Sticks has there's a user on the internet there. There is a gore video posted on YouTube, and I'm not going to be showing any of the gore, by the way, just to get on with, but you can see that it's a fresh, new topic, and it's something that's happening right now as you're watching this video. Here's like one of the original posts by a username by GamerGirl362. So my friend was on Omegle and she came across a girl who told her under the interest furry, and she said how there was a woman on there who killed burned skin cats. I will not post a picture because it is very graphic, and I deleted it because I was forever scarred. She wanted to find them before she was going to give up. She found them. Some people experienced the burning, others the skinning. She experienced her holding the skull at first. My friend thought it was fake, but then she saw their thumb in its jaw, and then they poked its eye out. Now, this is an Omegle call with this Crazy Cat Lady, allegedly. And as you can see, probably not, because I'm going to blur this since it's not allowed by YouTube Terms of Services, is an actual cat skull. It's a very small cat skull. I'm not an expert on cat skulls, of course. You know, I don't actually skin them myself, but it has an eyeball placed inside it. Think of like looking at a fish head, you know, at a supermarket, and you can still see its eye placed in. Yeah, it's pretty much what you're seeing here. And the skin is like blood red, meaning that it's literally just been skinned, like it's just been pulled. You know, Daddy's hunted for a while. He knows what skinning an animal is like. Let me tell you, that's probably going to be taken out of context, but for those people who are in the context, you know damn well what I'm talking about. Now, this Reddit post led me to another user from Instagram, one that I'm not going to be naming just because of fear of their privacy. I don't think they really wanted to give their name out. Granted, they posted their name in a public forum, but I don't really want to throw them out there because I believe they actually got some hate from people who thought it was actually them being the cat killer, so I'm not going to do that. But they have some photos where they show the cat skull in particular, and the more you flip back into it, the more you can see, hey, there's a cat skull. Hey, there's like some weird windmill stuff, which I believe is the actual video that the viewer is sending out. And I hope to God they spoofed the webcam footage instead of sending their actual photograph out there. Then you've got a close-up look at the skull with the eyes removed. And yes, that does in fact look like a freaking cat skull, to be real with you. Then you've got an actual TikTok account. Now, this is what we're going to go to next, but this is an element of a TikTok account that was actually removed. These keep getting removed really fast, but I'll show you real quick. The Crazy Cat, Stupid Idiots lol, I am not in Kokoma, Idaho. I will state I am in Texas, but I ain't stating that the rest of you idiots. Hashtag furry, hashtag omegle. And then here's the original posting. Add the Crazy Cat Lady first with 491 followers and 18 likes. In their bio, they write French taxidermist, I show off a lot in omegle. Now this was, I believe, the original actual posting of the TikTok account. And at the time that I was initially investigating it, I couldn't find this TikTok account. But later on, about 2 hours before filming this, I actually did in fact find this TikTok account. I don't know if it's the original, but it seems like the actual original user behind this whole nonsense. Now, the first exact account that I could find was actually this one called The Crazy Cat Lady First. And this, I don't know how TikTok exactly works, but you can see that it's strap word, whatever that means. 4,106 followers and 12 videos, meaning that this has more activity than the original account that we've seen. Again, these keep popping up and down, and people do report them. I reported this account, for instance, but yes, they do end up coming out in for it. And as you can see below, there are other TikTok users who responded, like saying, this is not my post, please block this account, report it, and whatnot. So good-natured posts, but these accounts are just going to keep popping up anyways. Again, let's go further. Now, this is one of the messages after every single video that this lady shows, and it says, good luck to all and happy hunting. And as you can see, it's got 159 likes, meaning that's some pretty healthy engagement, I believe, for TikTok. And this message is, again, on every single video she posts, meaning that she just enjoys this hunt that's going on right now. What I'm making, this video, is feeding into all of her fucking psyche. So yes, that's on every single one of the videos. She enjoys this whole hunt, and she enjoys watching people edge closer and closer to figuring out her identity. Now, here she writes that she is engaged in infiltrating a Discord group from these users, so she clearly hides her name, but she's infiltrated a Discord group that's dedicated to investigating her. And as you can see, she keeps using the hashtag furry and hashtag furry omegle. These are the hashtags she uses to communicate with people on Omegle and show them the dead animals as she pleases. Here you can see like transcripts from the Discord she's into. Crazy Cat Lady, what made you do this? I'm trying to have a better understanding of why you're doing this, not trying to spite you. Bullshit, dude. Can I please DM proof instead? Or, guys, we need to cool off for a few. That's all I wanted to ask. And that's people just trying to discuss what's going on with her. Again, there's no rhyme or reason to a person just torturing and killing cats. You know, serial killers don't operate on rhyme and rhythm, I would say. Like they're just psychotic individuals to get off with. Now, here she gives some reasoning of why she's a crazy cat killer. Like, why do you ask? Because I'm tired of degenerate brats and people who think they are better than those. I was raped once and abused by my boyfriend. I want to put fear in others, even if I scar brats. So clearly some past trauma has led her to harming cats. And of course, as far as I've honestly known, people who harm cats eventually graduate to like some human beings later on. I'm not going to say that's the case over here, but it is definitely escalating. Here's another post that she says where I'll be having a friend pick up 2 kittens tomorrow, so sure. And of course, this means it's going to escalate day by day. Now here she gives timestamps of signing on to Omegle's, like going on Omegle at 1:23 p.m. Time is 12:33 p.m. She actually has a schedule that I'm going to show you real quick. Right here. Hello, here times I am normally on Omegle and when I'm not on Omegle. Monday, not on at all. Tuesday, not on at all. Wednesday, anywhere from 12 p.m. to 5. Thursday, 10 p.m. to 4. Friday, same as Wednesday, to 7 p.m. Saturday, not on. Sunday, only on for about 2 hours from 4 p.m. I will normally announce when I'm on TikTok. If you see anyone else being me, it's not me. So this is apparently the legit account. She will let you know when she's about to diddle some cats or torture them or whatever you want to call it. So clearly the situation is escalating. She's got a pattern of behavior, and it's at this point where now we're only wondering when it's going to go up, because she's buying more cats, she's killing more cats, she's putting more and more into it. Clearly the situation, again, is escalating. Now that we've established what the situation is, why this lady is doing it, what her times are, now it's time to like sort of delve into it for ourselves and see what we've got. Now I've spent about the last 2-3 days sort of trolling around on Omegle, sort of trying to find this cat lady, and unfortunately I have not found the cat lady. And I'll give you a sort of a dramatic recreation of what I was doing. Basically, you go over here to Omegle and you type in furry or Omegle furry Omegle. There you go. That's what you want to type in. And then you make sure you go to the video section. Now this is an unmoderated section as far as I know, but I'm going to click onto it and see what we've got real quick, trying to find this lady. Dicks. More dicks. Oh fuck, penis galore. Now, I believe Omegle at its peak, usually per day, has like 40 to 50,000 people. That, or maybe the counter might have been busted, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with the estimate that 40 to 50,000 people exist. I'm going to say that a good chunk of them probably don't use furry or furry Omegle. It might be a little tame, I would say, but there are people that are actively hunting for this individual, and even during their time frames, I have not been able to find this person for like 3 days. However, you know, I have found a litany of other individuals who like to use the furry section. I found a lot of dongs, and you know, that being said, it's Omegle's business. One of the known profile. Now, one of the actual posts of the crazy cat lady is, in fact, this. This is the closest image we have to her on Omegle.com. So if you see this individual available at all on Omegle, this may actually be the closest person to the cat killer you see. And it's where the hands are probably the closest. The actual facial structure might be the closest I've seen when I compare this to the actual cat skull photos. So I'm going to go on a limb and say this is probably the closest you'll get. Again, the problem is most of this face is obscured. Internet detectives are amazing. They've done pretty much all they can to find the actual address of this individual. Now, I don't condone doxing, but when you're committing an illegal crime like this, like actually harming and killing cats, it's a criminal offense, and if you can find out where this person lives, then it's advisable that you contact the regional area, the actual police unit in that area, the police force, and actually get in touch with them so you can actually have a formal investigation against this person. But with that said, what people have been doing is effectively creating landing pages for this person to connect to in order to search for themselves online or just fall into a trap where their IP gets logged. Now, earlier in this, we talked about the IP address just changing all of a sudden. And the truth of the matter is, when your IP address changes all of a sudden, it's really not that shocking. Honestly, unplug your modem and replug it, your IP address is dynamic anyways. Meaning that if you get an IP ban, it's a simple matter of mostly unplugging your main modem, replugging it in, and once you actually get your new IP address from your internet service provider, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Honestly, beyond that, this lady is obviously using VPNs. People have found out that she is either located in Texas or Virginia or the East Coast, numerous places in the United States, and I can't exactly attest to where she's located because her IP address keeps changing locations, which is a sign that she's using a virtual private network. And once you're using a VPN, it becomes very difficult to trace this individual based on their IP, because again, they could be reconnecting to any point. Just by using any VPN and connecting to the United States, you may connect to a server in Buffalo, New York, or you may connect to a server in, Los Angeles, California, or Dallas, Texas, or Seattle, Washington. See, that's how VPNs work. If you pick a country, you'll usually be paired with the closest geographical location to you, but most VPNs allow you to actually select a server specifically. Now, I don't believe this lady may be the most proficient technical individual out there, but using a VPN isn't exactly the hardest thing to do. There are a lot of Reddit detectives that I think I can side with where they're actually fingerprinting her browser. If you don't know what browser fingerprinting is, it's some really wild shit that actually happens a lot more than you think. If you connect to a page, it'll actually be able to track what operating system you're using, what web browser you're using, the amount of cores on your computer, sometimes the actual exact PC specifications that you have. Now, there are ways to mitigate browser fingerprinting, and you can use browsers like Brave or certain Chrome editions or Firefox editions to help mask your browser identity. Now, the way that I do it is I use virtual machines. Again, I don't want to like throw that onto you, but I use virtual machines where I basically create a very boilerplate system that most people have. Things like a 4-core computer, 6-core computer with like 6 gigabytes of RAM and whatnot. Something that somebody would buy at a Best Buy or a store and bring it home, and that would be the computer specifications. I pretty much replicate that, so if I connect to any shady websites, I pretty much fit the bill with the average computer user anyways. If I just connected with my desktop, I'd stand out with being one of the owners of like, say, an i9-9900K RTX 2080. That would fingerprint me pretty specifically. The amount of people using those enthusiast-grade parts are going to be limited in comparison to people using an actual off-the-shelf OEM computer. And if you can replicate your system to look like that, it masks you a little bit better. And that's where I think this crazy cat killer lady is actually not that technically proficient. Meaning that instead of the IP, if you can take her to multiple websites and fingerprint her actual system, you may be able to figure out a pattern of her computer usage and her location history and work off of that rather than just using her IP address. She obviously has to have a pretty specific system. If you can hit 10 landing sites for her and just correlate which computer shows up on every 10 site, then you can figure out roughly more about this individual than, say, just running off of their IP address. Now, beyond that, figuring out her actual ISP might be the closest thing to getting to her. If she's committing a crime over an internet service provider, then it's up to the internet service provider to have a deeper look at what this individual is doing. And again, provided she hasn't signed on to a VPN, provided she made a mistake and used her actual IP address, that may be the smoking gun to help find this lady right now. Clearly, this is an evolving situation. This is the Omegle crazy cat killer lady who is running a weekly live stream of her skinning cats, this French taxidermist that lives in the States or wherever it may be. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we can find out who this person is and bring some swift fucking justice. Because situations like this evolve into something really, really grave if you let it persist the way that it's doing right now. Clearly she wants attention. And you might say, Muda, you're giving her attention. But let me remind you that not all attention is good attention. And if she continues doing this, trust me, internet Reddit detectives are a lot stronger than you think. And using the method of establishment that I'm basically pitching right now, where we actually fingerprint her even harder than just going off an IP address that she's obviously going to go keep changing with some bargain bin VPN that stores no logs. This may be one of the matters to do it, and trying to figure out who her internet service provider is may be the closest thing to achieving proper justice. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's the crazy cat lady on Omegle. Beware, be careful, and ladies and gentlemen, well, watch out, because this is an evolving situation and it's only going to get grim from here. This is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out. How's it all? How it be? You know, Twitter is a dumpster fire. Twitter is absolutely disgusting. It was foretold in religious texts from before human history was recorded that one day an app shall release called Twitter that would absolutely bring the end of humanity. And I think Twitter is without a doubt that. Twitter takes away all rational thought, and if you want to get real with it, Twitter would cancel a fetus just for breathing wrong in the womb, all right? I shit you not. Twitter is without a doubt the biggest trash heap that you can find. Now, I'm going to be real with you. This is just something that I want to cover because I feel like this BS needs to be called a little bit. It's kind of gotten too much and it actually really triggered me today, okay? So yeah, it's kind of ironic, right? I'm being triggered about people being triggered on an app that's all about being triggered. Whoo! Say that 3 times fast, buckos. Now, Animal Crossing is a game made for the most beautiful souls out there, okay? Literally anybody could play Animal Crossing, and no matter who you are, you could be the most relaxed hippie in the entire world, or you could be a Wall Street broker that's snorting lines off of, you know, anybody's ass cheeks while trading on the floor. And you would probably find some solace and happiness in Animal Crossing. I'm going to show you a screenshot. It's a very harmless screenshot. I'm going to ask you what the problem with the screenshot is, okay? We're going to do a little bit of fucking, you know, what's wrong with this, okay? Cute space buns, lion face. All right, I think that's a lot. I call it a lion face, all right? As you can see, there's an innocent, you know, beautiful Animal Crossing character. Nice little, you know, fucking dog on the left, a little dog food. You know, it's a very good-looking house. Like, look, I'm not trying to say MTV Cribs up in this bitch, but that's a good-looking Animal Crossing house. Very beautiful. Now, I'm going to ask you what the problem is. Is it the name that we're going for up top? No, not really. Is it the fact that there's some weird color scheme going on? No, not really. Is it the fact that my camera has defocused one more time? Absolutely, that's fixed. Is it the fact that Twitter for Android is located? No, I'm gonna ask you, okay? No, it's the fact that they used a very racial hairstyle, buckos. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you couldn't pick up on it, this is a sign of true racism, of true privilege, of true destruction. Now look, I don't want to get into any of this politics nonsense. I don't want to get any of this like BS nonsense. I'm actually really pissed because this story involves some slight almost doxing. Now I don't know if this person is entirely doxed, but it seems like the people who are outraged over this don't even care about the actual serious implications that comes from doxing. Doxing is a serious problem, okay? If somebody throws out your address or whatever out on the internet right, and there's outrage towards you, there's a very small but possible chance that there is an actual psychopath out there who's willing to really go the extra mile to fuck with you. And it's why doxing is considered wrong, not only on an ethical level, but on a matter of safety towards other individuals. You just don't do it. You just don't dox people for no fucking reason. Even if you have a reason, doxing people is still really shitty to do. All right, now if we actually go down further, I'm going to show you where the fucking outrage begins, all right? And as you can see, Mini Horizons, all right? I'm just going to go with that name. Ma'am, can we stop with the goddamn role-playing on Twitter? I hate it. Stop with the, ooh, daddy came and spanked me. I don't care, all right? Just write the damn thing, okay? Maybe I'm old. I hate, stop RPing, okay? God, there are other sites for that shit. GTA Online is great for that and stuff, man. I RP all the time. Ma'am, they're not space buns. And then they got this fucking passive-aggressive smile, you know, the upside-down one. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? What are you, high? What are you, a fucking tomato? All right? They're Afro Puffs. Not sure the correct name. So, you're outraged, but you don't even fucking know the correct name of the goddamn hairstyle. You fucking lemon. What's wrong with you? And they are meant for black girls. Us white girls cannot use them, so I advise you change them before it's too late. I don't know what the fuck it's too late. It sounds like, you know, the mob is about to fucking put a hit out on you, right? Like, they're already calling up John Wick right now. It's like, Mr. Wick, somebody was being meanie on Animal Crossing. Hunt them down. Like, what? What? Okay. And then you've got fucking too late until what happens? Yeah, actually, that's a valid question. Until what happens, by the way? Till others cancel her and put her name out there. It's like you fucking want that to happen? First off, how the hell do you cancel somebody over a fucking hairstyle in a video game? Wait a minute. I usually play female characters in video games. Are you gonna fucking cancel me next? Are you gonna cancel me next? Wow, Muda's not playing his own gender in a video game. Oh fuck, look at Muda invading where he fucking shouldn't be. I actually have a good reason for that. If I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed for 80 fucking hours, I'm gonna look at some good ass while I'm at it. And I'm not going to look at the obviously terrible male character they put into the game with the shit tier voice acting. It just ain't fucking happening. But that's a whole gamer shit out there. I don't think it's anything wrong to pick and choose whatever you want. If a game provides you a level of customizability, fucking go for it. It shows me that these fucking losers could never stand Black Ops, where every emblem was really fucking bad. Oh, really fucking cancelable back in those days. You know, I remember the amount of dicks you must have seen on Black Ops 1, Black Ops to is just on a whole nother level. You feel me, homies? But let's get through it. So you want others to dox her for wearing a fucking hairstyle. Oh yeah, that when you read it like that, it's really fucking stupid, okay? She shouldn't be wearing the hairstyles if she's white. Simple as that. Cheat on my wife, boys. Really? Are you fucking deranged? Have you been are you stupid? Dude, these people are insane. These people are fucking mental. This isn't even a goddamn troll, by the way. These are the people that act like they're the fucking nicest progressive people in the world out there, but in a matter of seconds, they turn into the most hostile motherfuckers. This is the exact definition of what happens when people have so much fucking free time and they live in so much la-la land. They have nothing fucking wrong in their life. Their biggest complaint is a fucking literal character model belonging in a video game that somebody else, not even them, not even someone they fucking know, has picked. It's kind of insane. It's not even like what she did really brought on like this crazy racist dog whistle type shit that was just out there. It's not even like she was going ham on any of this. No, she literally picked a fucking cute looking hairstyle. Her character looked fucking cute, alright? Listen, if I was drunk and I was an animal, I'm not even gonna go there actually. That might actually fucking get me canceled for sure. But you get the point, alright? You know, fucking add two and two together. Now, there were some other people, okay, over here who are like, hey, these are not called space buns. These are actually called Afro puffs, not buns. Could you please stop being how about we spell the fucking word racist right, okay, before we actually use it in any fucking context? With the new hair topic, and be thankful that we have new things. This is a kid's game, and little ones do not need to see this content. These are hairstyles for a specific person, not you. Like, what the fuck? These are the same people that, like, if I disagreed with them, they'd be like, hey, call center boy, get the fuck out of here. These are the same people who would have said the same shit to me. What the fuck is wrong with you people? How easy of a life do you have that you're gonna fucking do this shit? I don't get it. It's this kind of bullshit that, like, waters the fuck down out of video games. Could you imagine, like, years down the road when, like, other big games decide to limit the fuck out of, like, character creator options and just decide to keep certain things for themselves? Like, what's gonna happen next? Is Cyberpunk 2077 gonna come out, and every time you pick the Indian-looking character, you can't extend your penis by, like, an extra inch? Yes, I cry about that every fucking day. Like, what's gonna happen, man? Like, what is the end game over here? You know, all in all, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a bunch of people who have so much fucking free time and live in so much fucking happy land that they don't have to fucking worry about anything bad that ever happens in the world. Fuck Twitter. Fuck everything about this cancel culture nonsense. Okay, listen, if you want to fucking equip certain styles in a video game, do it. If you want to tattoo weird shit on your character in a video game, do it. If you want to make your dick 14 inches long, do it. If you want to wear a certain hairstyle, do it. And if somebody on Twitter tells you not to, go tell them to go fuck themselves and call it a day. Because you do you, baby. And if you aren't hurting anybody, then by all means, you have everyone's fucking blessing. And to the people that think you should dox somebody based on what they fucking pick in a video game, I'm going to tell you to breathe, I'm going to tell you to go out, and I'm going to tell you to fucking be an actual reasonable adult and not a fucking man-child. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and I am out. Guys and gals, me, Mutahar, and if it's anything that makes me even the slightest bit happy in life, are animals. I love cute little animals, okay? My personal favorite are cats, okay? I don't own any animals myself because I just don't have the time or you know, whatever to really have animals. So that whenever I go to my friends' places, I always love cuddling with their cats and dogs. They're the cutest things in the world. Life doesn't get better than a cute animal by your side, okay? Let me tell you. All right, the most lovable creatures out there. But you know what? There are some people in reality that love their animals a little too much. And this whole video is sponsored by an actual argument that I've had with somebody else, okay? Someone that I no longer talk to, someone that I've completely cut out of my life, because this person tried to actually defend this as sort of something that is slightly normal, which is a relation with animals. Now, don't get me wrong, this person was never close to my life. I actually despise this person anyways, but now I had a good reason to completely cut off communications. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Twitter has an updated terms of service, okay? Most terms of services have been updated, all right? Twitter had a problem with maps, and it actually still does. In fact, there's still the mega links problem on Twitter, which I'm actually going to be deep diving into again, because Twitter is not doing anything to combat that, okay? I don't know if they're trying. There have been accounts active for months just trading disgusting material with each other, and it's like, like Twitter doesn't even care. Now they've updated their policy in 2020, okay, where in their child exploitation policy they went out and said promoting or normalizing attraction to minors as a form of identity or sexual orientation, that's not permitted. So by definition, stuff like maps isn't allowed. And you know why maps aren't allowed? Is because attraction to minors eventually snowballs into actually going through with it. I don't care if you say that you're a anti-contact, or at the end of the day, that's some pedo stuff to me, okay? That's like trying to normalize the whole world. And I don't like to live in a world where that kind of disgusting behavior is really normalized. No one accepts it in any side. It's not even up to debate with most people, okay? They just think it's wrong. If you try to die on that hill and defend it, know that there is a watch list with your goddamn name on it, okay? Now, that being said, Twitter finally updated in 2020. They're like, oh, wow, we better get rid of that. That's just bad. Now, there's something else called the Twitter zoophile community. Now, if you don't know what a zoophile is, it's basically someone that has an attraction to animals. Now, for me, I look at this kind of stuff, and when people try to normalize it, when you have to look at it this way, okay? If you have that attraction to animals, right, and people try to like push it, they try to normalize it, the next logical step that happens to most impressionable people that go onto that side of the internet is they're like, well, I guess it's kind of normal to do Fido, and then they start fucking doing Fido, and that's when you get into some goddamn problems. Now, this leads us down to the first little rabbit hole, which is the word zeta. Now, zeta, which is uppercase Z, lowercase zeta, ancient Greek, Demotic Greek, classical, is the sixth letter of the Greek alphabet in the system of Greek numerals. It has a... What? What was that? Oh, what, you were like, what does that have to do with the video? I was going, I don't fucking know. All right, I don't fucking know what the word zeta has to do with sticking your dick in your dog's asshole. I don't know. But it's somehow related, because if you go on fucking Twitter, of course, like all denizen crap holes, you know how like deep web browsing, I could just do Twitter browsing every Sunday, and it would be darker than anything I've seen on the deep web, by far. All right, now you go into this stuff, okay? All these zoophiles on Twitter have started to use the zeta, okay? Like a symbol as a sort of an identity, right? A sort of a way to guide people into the zoophile world, which, before we get into it, we have to start discussing illegality. Now, if you look at these symbols are kind of common on Twitter. K-pop actually had a symbol as well, too. I think it was like a circle with a strike through and whatnot, like a T circle top. It was a weird thing, okay? K-pop had this thing, and now Twitter has its own, like, you know, symbol. But if you look into the legality, okay, let's just cover this real quickly, okay? There's a lot to cover. Legality of bestiality in the United States. I'm picking the United States because most of my audience is from the United States, okay? That's simply why I'm doing it. Now, if you look at the United States, okay, the legality, from the map perspective, red means it's pretty fucking illegal. It's actually a felony. Yellow means it's a misdemeanor. Orange means it's either a misdemeanor or a felony, okay? Depending on how much you tear that rectum up, the judge will decide if you really should go to prison for it. Green means it's all fucking good, fam. Tear that horse pussy up. You know what I mean? You know how it'd be, dude. Now, if you look at DC, which is the District of Columbia, which means if we go back, all right, what that effectively means is if you go to the United States on a federal level, okay, it's all legal, fam. They don't give a shit about it, dude. Tear up Fido all you want, I guess is what it really means. Now, if you go to the illegal side, it means it's illegal for armed service members since February 4th, 1921, which means sometime before then, it was all Gucci to bang your fucking kangaroo on base, right? Until after that, they were like, nah, dude, we don't mess with that. The penalty for it is a dishonorable discharge. Imagine being like, let's say you're a Navy SEAL, right? And you're like, man, I just have this itch to do my dog. They will dishonorably discharge you. You don't get any pay or anything. In a majority of the United States, it's actually very illegal, right? For example, if you go to just Delaware, the maximum is 8 years in prison. I think that's actually longer than my entire YouTube channel's runtime. 8 years in prison. Imagine going to a prison cell in Delaware after doing your horse, and people in the prison cell are like, what are you in for? Oh, man, I just tore up my dog's butthole. Just an average Friday night, right? Feds caught me. I was slacking, wasn't I? But, you know, as far as it's illegal, it's totally okay in Delaware, okay, to sell videotapes of some zoophile action going in progress. But that's all I really wanted to look at. Can we just go on the fact that it's illegal in most part of the world, okay? Or just in the United States. Now, one of the things that I can't believe I'm ever Googling in my search history is can animals consent? Okay. Like, this is an important fact. This is why this stuff is illegal. Animals they're not typically the smartest creatures, okay? Animals are smart, okay? But they're not like, you know, as smart as a human being. They don't have the mentality to truly give consent, okay? You might be wondering, oh, but Nuda, if the dog didn't want it, they'd bite me and push me away. Now, if we're going to go with the fucking layman term like that, sure, I guess. Maybe if you're a smooth brain. But an actual level-headed, like, 10-head would tell you that, no, doing your dog, it can't really consent. It just doesn't have that logical capacity to do so. You are taking advantage of the animal by forcing yourself upon it, because that's what it is. And by that definition, yes, what you are doing is illegal, it's immoral, it's wrong, and no matter what social media you're on, there should be, like, a fucking zero-tolerance policy for it. At least the aspect of normalizing it should be fucking contained, because it's really disgusting behavior. Now, if we go back to this sign, the Zeta sign, which actually started around 2019, but it's alive and fucking well, ladies and gentlemen. For instance, okay, I found one account that says, just some aqua dick for all my zoos. Imagine having a mate with that, going in and out of you. Holy, what a dream. Stay in love and empower zoos. Zoo pride. Zoo positivity, zoophobia. And I have to censor this out, but that's a fucking dolphin dick, okay? If you've never seen what a dolphin dick looks like, it's a fucking lead pipe on a goddamn animal. I feel bad for the dolphin receiving this cock in return. That looks like an actual, like, sentient being attached to this person, okay? There is no human that could ever match. Mandingo, all right, is but a tiny creature in comparison to the phallic organs of a fucking dolphin. But hey, on the other image, I'm actually seeing a dude jack it off, so it's kind of fucking wild. Now, if you think this account was memeing, okay, this has been here since October 2020, since the same time Twitter updated the date. If you think this is a fucking joke, okay, they have uploaded, without a doubt, and I have to censor this, I guess I'll explain this disgusting process, okay? That is a human getting his starfish, his chocolate starfish, tongue jacked by a dog, all right? Yes, it really physically hurts to watch, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, that will be burned into my mind till the day I am actually dead. That dog is having a fucking time, dude. That dude's asshole must taste like fucking peanut butter. You never know. But yeah, they're actually sharing this stuff. And by the way, all right, just to put the legality in question, this account, since I don't know if it's from the United States or anything, but if they were in the fucking if they were in the state of Washington, that shit's a fucking felony, by the way. Rightfully goddamn so. Here's another one. This isn't even like bad, okay? This is like what gets retweeted all the time. Like, does your life story include a horse with a striped butt? If not, don't you think it's time? No, I really don't think I need a horse's ass in my life, dog. I get enough ass plenty as it is, boys and girls. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm good on that department. I don't need a horse's ass to add on top of that. You feel me? Here's another one, by the way. This is really fucking gross. Animals can't consent. Official sources stated this is false. If you don't know what this meme is, it's a play on what they're doing with, like, Donald Trump nowadays, who's been mauling since the fucking presidency's been over. Every time he tweets something, Twitter basically corrects him. And tells everyone, yeah, this guy's BSing, right? It's just the funniest fucking troll on Twitter's end. Like, if Jack Dorsey has ever done anything right, it's found a way to troll the current acting president of the United States. That is fucking hilarious. But yeah, official sources stated this is false. How about I tell you that animals actually can consent? Like, you're trying to, like, justify this fucking shit, and it's really disgusting. Like, what they're trying to do is normalize the idea of having sex with animals, which is an illegal and immoral act, by the way, all right? And again, I'm not trying to be the fucking morality police, but I'm just saying, like, I think most human beings can agree that doing a defenseless animal that really doesn't know what the fuck is going around, it's happening to it, is actually immoral and wrong. I think that's a pretty fucking constant on most people's radar, right? Yeah, and like we said earlier, animals actually can consent. You're full of shit. Get out of here. I really want to see your sources. I really do too. This is where you stop. I agree, Kazum. I agree. This is where everyone goddamn stops, dude. That is just wrong. Shut the hell your mouth. तुम अपना मुंह बिल्कुल बंद कर दो साले. Fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. You can never have a good Sonic video without some good old Sonic the Hedgehog, man. Let me tell you, fuck me up, man. That hedgehog is what worth dying for. I love how, like, they have this graph now. Zoophiles account for 20% of furries, right? So approximately 500,000 furries, I guess, are actual zoophiles, which I don't really believe, by the way. It seems like now they're like trying to get onto the point of the fucking, 8% of the world is into this shit. You're telling me 624 million human beings in the world are like, yeah, man, my dog looks mighty goddamn cute. Let's fuck that rectum up, fam. No, I don't think that's true at all. I don't know where you're getting these like facts from, but again, as you can see, the Zeta symbol is being used as sort of like a calling, like dog whistle card for this kind of BS. Okay, gotta tackle this one. No, scientists don't agree that animals cannot consent to humans, and no, that is not a scientific source. Therapy is not given unless the person is destructive or distressed, impaired in social, occupational, or other areas of function. No, actually, no. So where's the source? I love when people are like, no, scientists don't agree. Okay, if you know that, then provide your fucking source. Like, they're so quick to call out the other person's source, but like they actually gave a source. This person didn't give a source. They're just like, no, you're wrong. Done, get out. Like, bro, the world doesn't work on your fucking, the world runs on facts, not opinions, okay? Like, that's just reality. Therapy is not, no, it actually is destructive. You are destroying the sanctity, the holiness of this fucking cute little animal. That's wrong. That should be treated as wrong. People praise me for treating my horse very well when they don't know my attraction. The same people who swear that zoophiles mistreat and abuse the animal. Yeah, if you take it all the way, that's actually mistreating and abusing the animal. You know, it's fine to like your animal, but the moment you cross the line and start, you know, really loving your animal, that's mistreating and abusive to the animal. And if you don't agree with me, then you should probably agree with the fucking government that makes these rules, rightfully so, that tell you it's wrong. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was just a small taste of what effectively is going around on Twitter. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to reiterate the fact that this is no call to action. I don't want anybody to just, like, go out of their way to harass or attack anybody in this. They don't deserve to have that. Nobody deserves to have harassment or any attack towards them, and I certainly can never condone that, and I actually fucking vilify if anybody does that too, because fighting fire with fire is just terrible. These people don't deserve hatred. If anything, these people deserve rational, level-headed responses. Like, if somebody tries to normalize this, the only healthy thing that you can do as a person is tell them that they are factually fucking incorrect. Like, this is wrong behavior. And the fact that it's even somewhat normalized is really fucking disgusting. Like, I don't really despise or hate anybody. It takes a lot for me to hate somebody, and if somebody's doing this, or if somebody is allied with this kind of cause, hey, look, you can believe and do whatever you want. I'm not going to hate you, but in reality, all I can say is this is wrong behavior to have. I think both sides of this situation, before I end this, I gotta say, like, these people are wrong too, and the people that promote hatred and violence against these people are also fucking wrong too, because you're not really doing anything to delegitimize this BS that exists. If anything, you're assisting these people in looking like the fucking victims, when in reality, the actions that they would commit to an animal does not grant them victimhood. Honestly, all you have to do is pretty much approach it with the Gandhi perspective that most Indians have fucking come to know. And it's to be relaxed, it's to be calm, it's to understand that, listen, you have to tell these people that they're wrong, and that's through using facts and fucking logic. Because zoophilia is wrong, and bestiality is what it effectively leads into, regardless of whatever you think, right? That will lead into that. It's honestly a fucking slippery slope in that case. And it's why this has to be stopped right here. This stuff is too fucking normalized, and there's too many people who have been basically utilizing these symbols to help guide impressionable people to start thinking of, or potentially maybe even fuck their animals, right? Like, it depends on how you get into it. It depends on what communities that you got into. But overall, it's a really disgusting practice, and no real state really allows this. And honestly, it shouldn't surprise you why they don't. And most social media will not let you do it. For instance, you know, if you go all the way, most social media services will probably fucking cut you off right there. And I guess rightfully so, because by definition, you are bringing harm to a fucking animal that cannot, in all honesty, consent. So yeah, you know, fuck the Twitter, you know, the nonsense. Twitter has just the weirdest fucking communities, the weirdest rules, and zoophilia is just one of the biggest fucking pillars of YouTube, or Twitter in this case. Ladies and gentlemen, I find it disgusting. This is me, Mutahar, and yeah, I'm out. This topic was brought to me through the attention of viewers following me on social media, and they sent me a topic called Eratos. And this topic is one that I had a definite interest in as soon as I saw that the name 4chan was attached to it. Now, me and 4chan have a history. I've been on these image boards for a while, so anytime I see some form of internet mystery show up here, I'm always intrigued. Now, there's plenty of content creators that have also covered this for years on end. One of the more recent ones is a fellow horror channel by the name of Blame It On Jorge. If you want to check out a video on this as well, that is a channel to follow. But this topic is known as Eratos. For some, it's a word that you shouldn't search, and for some, it's a term that refers to an alternate reality game, and we've seen a bunch of them, rabbit holes and whatnot. But what's sinister is it could refer to a surveillance program, a program that could spy on you, target you, and all of the nasty stuff that the internet is known for when it comes to machine learning and big tech companies out there. Now, to get to this, we need to go to origin points. We need to really start from the grassroots. And we have to go back to 4chan. Now, for me, 4chan's most populous board, most intriguing board has always been Paranormal, or X. And this is where it sort of started with. This board I used to lurk as a younger individual, and I still do to this day. It's where I browse ghost stories, hauntings, aliens, whatever you want to call it. Anything that could be out of the realm of reality is on this board. It's from this board that I went into things like creepypastas and whatnot, reading them throughout the night. And to this day, I still love that creepy element of the internet, and this is sort of that origin point for a lot of those. Now, November 26, 2015 on X, an anon posted about a temp job given by a temp agency in a factory that wasn't exactly known to be reputable, I guess, or at least until they discovered this information. Okay, just a heads up, I'm only 20 and I've only ever worked retail jobs my whole life. If I get terminology wrong, it's not because I'm bullshitting. It's because most of what she described is out of my frame of reference. I'll be honest. She's a super interesting chick. During this period, she was homeless and in a band. Her temp agency gave her a job at this place that was closing down all their locations in the country. And basically, it was well known that they were shady and generally treated their employees like cattle. Like, they were in the process of cutting down all their full-timers to shit hours, replacing them with temps, and having the temps do exactly the same work for like $10 an hour. Everything was really disorganized by this point, and different departments were scattered everywhere. And they were just getting everyone to do whatever work they could give them before they'd fire them. They had a programming department that made payroll programs for other companies, or something along those lines. But by the time she got there, it was just literally one dude. And they were giving him random jobs to do, like working assembly lines and running forklifts. They put her and this dude in a room, gave them a couple tape guns, and had them pack stuff in boxes. Most stuff there had the names of their respective departments written on them in Sharpies. But hers said Eratos on it. Or however the fuck it's spelled. The dude told her to get rid of the tape gun and not to mention it to any superiors, since apparently one of his jobs years before had been writing code to flag any employee that searched for it in their computer system. Not any old word, just that one. And they'd fire you if you got flagged. Weird shit. So we've learned that basically searching for a word that meant error or printing mistake in Latin roughly would get you fired. Now, that might alone be just some random weird coincidence of 4chan, all right? That just might be one-off post. And usually I would treat it like it's a one-off post. But when you see it mentioned again, roughly a month later, it gets to you a little bit. Did anyone here have any software IT jobs on the East Coast between 2000 and 2010 or so? I ask because a few people I know from that time and area have talked about some sort of sketchy HR-related program called Eratos, and I'm wondering if I can find any information about it. Not strictly paranormal related, but disturbing, and I believe I saw someone on X mention it before. So if that Anon is here, please post. Now, you have what appears to be a pretty edgy photo. I mean, if we discount all of that, the post actually mentions programming like we've seen before, jobs specifically in the human relations sector, similar to Eratos, implying again that it's basically a software that flags individuals and gets them terminated from their jobs at the very least. Now, it's here at this point after this post, going into another board, totally unrelated, but that's just the nature of some of these rabbit holes. Here we had to go into the /mu/board, which is basically the board discussing everything related to music. It's here that, again, for those who don't know about 4chan, it is a site all dedicated to having boards. And if you have the X board, which is paranormal, you're going to have music, which is MU. Just like there's boards for MLP, there's boards for politically incorrect, whatever you want, so on and so forth. There's boards for almost anything on 4chan. So this was the music board. And it was mentioned once during a thread in January 26, 2016. Again, we're moving roughly months later at a time. It pops up once a month. Now, I'm not really into the music board. I don't really care to discuss the fine details of music, and I don't care too much for it. I listen to music, I don't get into the nitty-gritties of it. But here, we find something called deep internet music. Now, before we continue, deep internet music is sort of like the deep web in that the concept of it is using incredibly obscure video and audio snippets from YouTube videos that have less than 20 views maximum. Like anything after 20 views, too much. So kind of like that channel we saw last week on deep web browsing, that would be the channel related to it. Effectively what would happen is the audio snippets from each of these videos would be combined and you would create a music track. Now, going back to it, a channel known as Chronos for Life Jurassic Park was thrown into the mix. Now this channel has around 698 total subscribers. And what's to note is that it was made around the same time as the initial Eratus postings. Now going back to coincidences yet again, like we said in the beginning, it rubs me in a way that when you look into these, I brush them off as ARGs or complete internet hoaxes, pranks, whatever you want to call it, when dates end up correlating so properly, right? When it's one thing if you have, you know, a channel related to a creepy internet event that gets mentioned in 2016, but the channel has existed and uploaded since 2014. I mean, it takes a lot of commitment to craft an art 2 years in advance and then start talking about it later, you know what I mean? But when you have a situation like this, where it's just months in between each other, yeah, then I guess, you know, you can date it as an internet prank hoax, whatever you want to call it. But let's get back on track here. What's important is these videos in nature and what they talk about. Now there's two videos in particular. YouTube is monitoring my channel, and one that is all about answering the questions related to that video in particular. Now, these videos are 144p. They are very, very poorly made. I mean, even if you upload in 2015, these videos look like they have the quality of something out of 2001. Like, it is barely touching 144p, which is one weird aspect of this video to begin with. Like, ladies and gentlemen, I get, you know, it's a 2015 video. I understand. I get that. I get that it's blurry and everything, but it just doesn't make sense time-wise. You know, even in 2015, people are uploading in high definition, at the very minimum for some people. Now, because of the terrible nature of the quality on these videos, I've had to transcribe these. So let's take a look at how much I can transcribe out of YouTube is monitoring my channel. I strongly believe that my mom was being monitored and harassed by YouTube, Universal Pictures and their affiliates because of secrets of sorts she had uncovered within the original trilogy of Jurassic Park films. Let me start by saying, as early on as I can, that I am not crazy, never been diagnosed with schizophrenia, anxiety disorder, or any other mental illnesses. I'm just good at noticing patterns. I've always been a big Jurassic Park fan. I saw that movie when I was 5 years old. It's possible that YouTube's part in the harassment campaign may have started with their removal of her various tribute videos to Jurassic Park after her passing. But those may also merely be the result of the churning of the vast machine that is the automated copyright takedown system. As big of a Jurassic Park fan as I am, I was never as deeply into the franchise as my mom was. She would watch the entire trilogy. She would buy JP-branded oatmeals and sugary cereals long after her doctor advised her to steer clear of these. Those Linkin Park anime music videos, I started noticing their absences towards the end of 2015. Without access to her YouTube passwords, videos she created on her old laptop, I contacted YouTube many times regarding these videos, but have only received canned auto-responses and unhelpful yet sympathetic responses from actual employees after pressing on the matter. Now, this video focuses a lot on this person's relationship, their mother's relationship with Jurassic Park. But what's to realize over here is this is sort of the first time things like Eratos are getting mentioned. I believe with this video, and I might be wrong, I'm just trying to really factor in, there's a lot of discrepancies here, but Eratos was mentioned on this video or somewhat in the description, and this may have been the first point of the program being tossed in. It seems that whatever was targeting this person's mother was the Eratos program. Now, there's very, very obvious cases where the automated copyright takedown system could take into effect. YouTube's takedown system is incredibly, incredibly sensitive. I mean, we've all heard of the false DMCA nonsense that's been happening on YouTube. It's literally that. I mean, YouTube's system is so sensitive because it has to be. Because if it isn't, then it's going to trigger, it's going to cause massive issues for the companies. I mean, you can look at the court case of YouTube versus Viacom and just realize how much of a nuisance it is for YouTube and Google as a company to keep hosting free videos without any form of a sensitive DMCA system. So there's no doubt, given the fact that this is a big, big movie, and being in time for further releases in the franchise, there would be a triggering or takedown of said material related to Jurassic Park in question. Now, video number 2 is all about answering questions that people have. I've been fairly reluctant to really ask anyone for help since, way too pixelated, sorry. Algorithms controlling things behind the scenes, weird stuff in that year, but I would never waste anyone's time with stuff like that. In the past couple of years, I've asked for help from friends in programming and business circles. But over time, friendships fade, people move, people stop talking to you, you know the drill. Now, these questions and answers are to a point where they are tough to read, so I'll just paraphrase them. One question was asking about the Eratos word in the description of the videos, and Kronos' response was saying that while he doesn't have knowledge in programming, Eratos is used by dozens of companies. Now, at this point, questions deviate from Eratos to things that really don't serve a purpose for this video, so I'm going to kind of skip those. The next step of this rabbit hole is to look at one more video from Kronos. This one is titled, Here Goes Nothing. What's to note on this video is not just the content, but rather the auto-captioning generated by YouTube itself on this video. Now, the background music is just some distorted rap music, that's it, but YouTube's captioning system had interpreted it as an address to the band KFC Murder Chicks. Now remember, you gotta understand, YouTube's auto-generated captions are generated by the system itself. These aren't generated by a user. There was nobody tampering. It was just YouTube's automated system doing it for you. You can see it do to every video in whatever you watch. You can click on the closed caption button on the YouTube player and it'll translate the video or do the best that it can. Now, at the point in time of this video, the YouTube system wasn't that impressive. Now, even if you factor all of that in, this video was not made in a way to trip YouTube system anyways. Looking at the quality of Kronos' videos, it's not as if they had any form of weird metadata hidden within them. This wasn't a case of the Plague Doctor videos where there were things hidden between the video, within the video, or the video was causing some weird flags to machine learning in any case. This is just a case of YouTube's AI machine being what it was. And back in the day, it was not as sophisticated as it is in 2019. Of course, you got to realize, with machine learning and artificial intelligence, the more data is fed to the system, the better it becomes. Of course, there's human intervention, but for the most part, this is how it works. So in 2015, while it is an infant system, it's still weird to see an address being posted like this. Now, while you investigate the address in KFC Murder Girls, one of the names really sticks out, and this is DJ Roswell. Now, this is where we're going to deviate just a little bit, okay? This producer was a little bit popular on the music board and even X as well. One post is about searching for a cursed album, right? Can we get a spooky Bandcamp thread? And here you've got 3 links. Please add your own projects or anything else you found that would count as spooky Bandicamp. How the fuck does none of this is real hurt you? I've listened to the album without following instructions. I don't even know that there were instructions. The intro says to listen to it very specific ways or you will have bad luck. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't take the threat too seriously. In fact, DJ Roswell doesn't even like this rumor anyway, so I'm not going to feed into it. I mean, there's no such thing as a cursed album, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to hurt you. There's no cursed photos. Relax. Boys and girls, you can listen to this album without any repercussions. Don't quote me on that, but that's just how it is. Now, so at this point, Kronos becomes a bit of a topic again by Anons, and there's threads from X titled First Legit Internet Mystery of 2016. And then you also have a thread on music as well. So we're going to look at these and just analyze them real quick, pretty guerrilla style. So this is First Legit Internet Mystery of 2016. Obviously, it was posted on 27 January 2016. This is an archive of the thread. So, some mutants were trying to start a new meme genre where they sample short, weird YouTube videos with no views and dug up this. And they've got the, if you look at the video, they're actually mentioning this, YouTube is monitoring and controlling my life. And if you look around over here, they talk about the errata system mentioned in this video, which is linking to those original threads that we had seen last time. So this in particular, we learned about the retail jobs and the weird warehouse. And then the second one with this weird image, obviously talking about jobs in the East Coast. Looking into these further, there is an actual extra post. Another thing that she said was that the atmosphere of the place was like hellishly unhappy in a really unreal way. It sounds stupid, but I want to emphasize, she's not a lazy person or the type to complain about jobs, so hearing her go into all this detail about the miserable atmosphere seriously creeped me out. But I'm kind of a pussy anyways. She didn't have any specific way to put it, but they say she kept describing it creeped me out hard. Not just like a normal job where it's unfun, but everyone always seemed thoroughly miserable. No work being done there seemed to actually make any impact or have anything to do with anything else. Everyone was just doing what the computer system would tell them to do, even weird useless shit, like making something and putting it in the warehouse. So it was just the most boring job imaginable, I understand. The name Eratus rings a bell. Eratus, what does it mean? I'm not sure I follow. Kafkaesque? And then the more and more you go into it, the more and more they're looking into the history of the word and whatnot. People are bumping the thread, and that's just what it comes down to. The more you look into this thread, I'm interested. I'm an IT trainee at one of the leading sausages companies. I get it. I understand these people are talking about a job right there. But let's go back to that post in particular. Now, the more and more you dive into it, the more and more these people are running a pretty active thread at the time trying to figure out this Eratos situation. So here they're posting an album image, it seems. This is creeping me out. This image has been in MU share threads for a while now. It's also here they talk about the Jurassic Park secret that Kronos' mom discovered. We never really got to know what that was, and that's a pretty accurate situation. Now, this is a rabbit hole that did come out of the other side of planet fucking Earth, so I will go on that. Now, there is a music thread where they talked about this. Okay, MU, some spooky, weird stuff is going on. Bear with me. Here is the first deep internet thread. One of the first in the first post, this one. Here's a transcript of the video, and this is where they, of course, go back to talking about those threads. Now, let's go down further. They actually mention things going back to the same 4chan posts, right? And then people here are talking about it being a forced meme, it being out there over here. Uploading a 144 video will create those artifacts. Especially high contrast moving images. Videos really used to look and sound that bad if the uploader didn't give a shit about looks. If you have Windows Movie Maker on Windows XP, it has the option to export videos compressed for dial-up connections, which produces video quality similar to. Now, this is actually in response to somebody talking about the video being, the video looking worse purposefully, which is kind of an interesting thing to say because even, like I said, we mentioned that, and we can say that to the end of the earth, but to be honest with you, it really is just somebody not giving a crap on how their video looks. So I can actually, you know, just completely work with that. Of course, going further into the music thread just makes them talk more about music and creating this deep internet type of audio or music style that they want to go for. Nothing really important in the nature of the video anymore, so let's go back to Eratos. Now, at this point, a user by the name of Todd Ellsworth also shows up and makes a pretty key appearance to the whole rabbit hole. In all of this, he is related to the KFC Murder Chicks, one of the uploaders of the albums, apparently. Kronos is name-dropping companies that are involved in the Eratos system. And further inquiry into Eratos leads to discovering that Todd Ellsworth's name is apparently an anagram for the Lost Worlds, that Jurassic Park movie that we saw Kronos uploading to his channel way back. Now, Todd, this character posts an image, or leads to an image, that you're going to see on this thumbnail. This image in particular, when it's reverse image searched, is apparently a police composite sketch in Hawaii of a serial rapist operating in the Maui area. Now, look, I can keep looking into threads, but what we have here is a few months of posting on a secret program known as Eratos. And it seems to filter human beings out, based on postings, whatever. It makes them unemployable, gets them fired, maybe ruins a life, or becomes, at the worst, a targeted harassment campaign. Now, I'm going to focus on that aspect right there, ladies and gentlemen. If this is an ARG run by a band in question, the KFC murder chicks ban, that is a very viable theory to go with. I mean, the fact that the address is linked, the fact that everything is set in such a way, this may be the case. This may be very clever advertising. But I'm going to go into the surveillance program too, because that is something that I have my personal expertise in. Now, government surveillance, big data surveillance is nothing new. Big data surveillance has been around for a while. And if you know anything about it, you know the extent of how far it can go. I've already talked about this in the targeted harassment video I made a while back, where we looked at things like the prison system. Something like Google's artificial intelligence is what really makes them money. You know, these guys have one of the most sophisticated AI machines that exists, alongside Facebook, alongside Microsoft, and even armies, so to speak. Now, artificial intelligence is not the sci-fi AI that I'm talking about. You know, this isn't some HAL 9000 shit. What's going on is the AI is flagging individuals and putting key data points of each person into various arrays. This is possible because the more data we feed it, the more it's able to categorize an individual. Now, if you factor all of that in and you look at it, you can see that over time, as certain things are factored, certain things are filtered out, people can be targeted based on their danger, based on knowing too much, based on a variances of principles set by the host. And if Eritas is a system that exists, which it very well could be, it may not even be called Eratus. This program in nature could have a theory, could have existed, could exist. I mean, at the end of the day, the programming, the software, the trickery mentioned in this is not so far out of learning, okay? With machine learning and artificial intelligence, how strong our systems have become, this is all possible. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at a point where Google, with Google Stadia, a new gaming platform, can predict user inputs and have enough processing power to plan for, I would say, millions of people. Do you think filtering human beings out on YouTube, do you think YouTube is a website that does not make money? It breaks even. The only reason YouTube is viable and very important is it is the biggest AI farming tool on the planet. If you don't think for a second that every time you upload, make a comment, do whatever on YouTube or any Google service gets fed to a giant Alphabet Inc. AI machine, you'd be dead wrong. This is how this works, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it leads to. And if Eritas' system exists, a way to filter out bad employees, a way to filter out bad people, I wouldn't be against the idea that there are big companies using such a tool to knock people out, to keep people down. But I will say it is highly unlikely. When you look at the case uses for this, I always try to ask myself, why would people be targeted individuals? Is uploading Jurassic Park footage viable enough for you to be a targeted individual, a targeted person? You know, would this be used against you? Was this some weird trial period? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, something like this, if it exists, and if it gets proven, could be so scandalous for Google that it can put them on the map in numerous countries. They wouldn't risk this on anyone, if it even existed. Again, this is just speculation. But, ladies and gentlemen, if such a tool exists, you have to ask yourself, am I a viable target to be targeted? Well, if the answer is yes, I do know too much, or yes, I am looking into things I shouldn't be, or yes, I am a threat to somebody far larger, then yeah, maybe the system works against you. Maybe this whole system is real. But if you're like me, well, some 4chan post, it all seems like a coincidence to me. I've been around on the internet long enough to know what's real and what isn't, and I'm probably going to bet a little bit that this isn't real to begin with. Will searching this word get you taken out? Will it get you forgotten by the world around you? Well, probably not. But do you want to take that risk? For me, all I'm going to ask you is if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like it if you dislike it. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.